Chapter 3609. Ling Xiao did not kill Lei Bao, but he defeated Lei Bao. Logically speaking, he should be the Deck-Arch now. He just needed to inform the Centurions. The 8 of them were very happy. They had never given up on the thought of living. They also wanted to cultivate and break through to defeat Lei Bao. But because Lei Bao deprived them of a large amount of resources, their cultivation speed could not be compared to Lei Bao. They did not want to admit that they did not work hard. But there was one thing they had to admit. Ling Xiao was braver than them, and he was more fearless of death. In fact, if the 8 of them worked together, they could also seriously injure or even kill Lei Bao. Such an opportunity had existed in the bloody battlefield before, but because they did not have confidence, they gave up time and time again. That was why they were helpless today. This world was indeed a world of ruthless people. If you were more ruthless and crazier than others, you would be able to get what you wanted. If they were fearless of death, how could they be bullied to this extent by Lei Bao? Ling Xiao was like that. If you want to deal with a wolf, you have to be more ferocious than the wolf. Lei Bao was stepped on by Ling Xiao, and he looked at Ling Xiao in horror. At this moment, he was really regretting it. He was living a comfortable life. Why did he have to provoke this demon king? Do you want to know what I gave you to eat? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and suddenly had a thought. Lei Bao felt a heart-wrenching pain coming from his body. That kind of pain was unbearable. Even if he was a martial artist, he still had the urge to commit suicide. This pill is called the soul-absorbing pill. Listen to me obediently, and you will be fine. Otherwise, if I want you to die at midnight, you will definitely not live until dawn. Ling Xiao smiled. No, you can't kill me. I am a Deck-Arch. If you kill me, you will be executed. Lei Bao was terrified after hearing Ling Xiao's words. Firstly, you have been defeated by me, and you are no longer qualified to be a Deck-Arch. Secondly, even if you are really a Deck-Arch, I have thousands of ways to get rid of the punishment if I kill you. Just like when you kill someone, you get away with it. Thirdly, you don't have to worry. I won't kill you because killing you won't do me any good, as long as you're obedient. Ling Xiao took out the Fire Supreme sword and played with it as he chuckled. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to everything you say. From now on, you'll be the squad leader. For someone like Lei Bao, his life was more important than anything else. As long as he could live, he would even be willing to be a grandson. That's more like it. However, given what you've done, it wouldn't be right if I didn't teach you a lesson. Otherwise, you might think that I don't dare to touch you. Ling Xiao sneered and raised his saber. The fiery Fire Supreme sword directly severed the source of Lei Bao's evil. This guy likes to violate women. Without that thing, let's see how he's going to do it. After being burned by the flames, the area stopped bleeding very quickly, leaving only a scar. Lei Bao, on the other hand, was already rolling on the ground in pain. No matter how unhappy he was in his heart, he could only hold it in. Who asked him to be inferior to Ling Xiao? Who asked him to lose to Ling Xiao? The Zifu army was also very cruel. You guys go and call the Centurion over. Ling Xiao looked at the 8 people and said, I'll go. People were in awe and fear of the strong. Ling Xiao was strong enough, so his words were effective. Soon, a centurion called He Wu came over. It should be said that he was the temporary commander of these 100 people. The centurion of this place was Tangchu Nunnery. However, Tangchu Nunnery was temporarily suspended because of what he did. He would probably be reinstated after some time. He Wu didn't like to meddle in other people's business, so he just turned a blind eye to Ling Xiao cutting off Lei Bao's penis. Since you've defeated Lei Bao, you're the squad leader. He Wu said indifferently. However, leave those women to me. I'll bring them back safely. You're just a squad leader. You don't have the ability to do that. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and agreed with He Wu. He wasn't familiar with this place, so he really couldn't help those women. Being able to rescue them from Lei Bao's clutches was already the most benevolent thing he could do. Of course, I believe Centurion can handle this matter well. Ling Xiao nodded his head. After that, He Wu brought the women away. After He Wu left, Ling Xiao dragged Lei Bao into his room. Tell me, how can I go to the bloody battlefield? This was the reason why Ling Xiao didn't kill Lei Bao. Lei Bao was a squad leader, so he definitely knew more about this than the other 8 men. The bloody battlefield. Are you crazy? With your strength, you'll just be courting death if you go there. When Lei Bao mentioned the bloody battlefield, his expression immediately changed. That place is extremely frightening. I advise you, if you haven't reached the divine core realm, don't go there. That place is known as the Purple Palace Army's graveyard. Countless Purple Palace soldiers, squad leaders, centurions, and Kiliarchs have died there. Even I don't dare go there. You're crazy. Shut up. I don't need you to tell me how dangerous that place is. You just need to tell me everything you know about the bloody battlefield. Ling Xiao slapped Lei Bao's face and said with a cold voice. Lei Bao rubbed his aching face and said, Actually, it's very simple to go to the bloody battlefield. You just need to have a Purple Palace soldier badge. It doesn't matter if you're an ordinary soldier or a general. The bloody battlefield is open to everyone. Besides, as long as you go to the bloody battlefield, you'll be exempted from all training missions. You don't even need to take on any other missions assigned by the Purple Palace Army. This is a good thing, Ling Xiao said with an indifferent tone. For him, all he needed to do was cultivate in peace. As for the Purple Palace Army, he didn't really care. You have to understand, the better the conditions, the more dangerous it is. The bloody battlefield is not something you can imagine. If you die, what about my soul-absorbing pills? This was what Lei Bao was worried about. Then you can only pray that I don't die there, Ling Xiao said with a smile. Lei Bao was speechless. He hated Ling Xiao to the bone, but he couldn't let Ling Xiao die. This kind of contradictory emotion was too torturous. Continue. What's the bloody battlefield like? How do I get there? What are the benefits? Ling Xiao asked several questions in a row, but they were all related to the bloody battlefield, so it wasn't hard for Lei Bao to answer. The bloody battlefield is like many other small worlds. It's an independent existence, but it's very unique. There's a saying in the 4 domains. Every place is divided into yin and yang. One is the yang world, the other is the yin world. The yin world is like the shadow of the yang world. The structure is the same, but the essence is completely different. The bloody battlefield is actually the yin world of the Purple Palace Great Kingdom, Lei Bao explained. Interesting. Continue. Chapter 3610. Lei Bao continued. The size and terrain of the yin world are almost exactly the same as the yang world. The only difference is that the yin world is almost completely unsuitable for intelligent life. It is full of all kinds of dangers, powerful, bloodthirsty demon beasts, terrifying natural disasters, and earthly disasters. Moreover, the air in the yin world is extremely thin, full of the aura of slaughter and death. Normally, even if you are not attacked by demon beasts, you can't survive. But martial artists are different. That kind of environment is more suitable for martial artists to cultivate, but that is for powerful martial artists. Weak martial artists will also die if they go in. Is that so? Anything else? Ling Xiao asked. Don't take it lightly. If you stay in that kind of environment for a long time, your body will be invaded by the evil aura. Over time, you will become irritable, crazy, and eventually lose your mind, and your body will slowly collapse, Lei Bao warned. Evil aura? Can't this evil aura be used? In the end, isn't it also a kind of energy? It's just a little more negative. Ling Xiao thought for a while and said, You are right. Evil aura is actually negative aura, and it can be used for cultivation. But the cultivation method of evil aura is completely different from aura. Aura is harmless to the body, and it can be cultivated however you want. But evil aura is different. It can only be cultivated through a special method. Once successfully cultivated, it can not only prevent evil aura from harming the body, but also greatly increase the speed of cultivation. Lei Bao said, "From what you said, you know the cultivation method of evil aura." Ling Xiao said with a smile, "Of course, as long as the Purple Mansion army enters the bloody battlefield, they will get the most basic cultivation method of evil aura, but the effect is not that good. So after staying in there for a while, you still have to come out. If you want to get a better cultivation method of evil aura, you can only find it in the bloody battlefield, or you can get a higher position and be rewarded by the higher-ups." Because Lei Bao was controlled by the soul-absorbing pill, he naturally answered all of Ling Xiao's questions. Ling Xiao felt that his choice was right. Controlling Lei Bao was the beginning of his success. This guy was a little disgusting, but he knew a lot. "Where can I get the basic cultivation method of evil aura?" Ling Xiao stood up and asked. "No way, you're really planning to go? Let me tell you, mastering the most basic cultivation method of killing qi is also an extremely difficult thing. Why are you so long-winded? Just tell me where to go." Ling Xiao said with a frown. Others might find it difficult, but he didn't see it that way. Ling Xiao had always been very confident in his talent and perception. Moreover, even if it was difficult, wouldn't he just give up? He didn't have that problem. He knew that there were tigers on the mountain, but he still went to the mountain. This was his character. Blood Evil Camp. Lei Bao sighed and said, "In the Blood Evil Camp there is a huge demon beast that was captured from the bloody battlefield. Now only bones were left. However, its bones contain the cultivation method of killing qi. However, he had to comprehend it on his own. It was as if everyone had different physical conditions, different cultivation methods, and different true essence attributes. So what they comprehended was different. Anyway, I'll say this up front, so don't blame me for not reminding you. The difficulty of comprehending killing qi is too high. Nearly a third of the people were unable to comprehend the cultivation method of killing qi until they died. Nearly a third of the people had to spend years, or even decades, to comprehend the cultivation method of murderous aura. I'm not afraid that you'll laugh at me, but it took me 15 years to comprehend a little bit of it. However, this was only the beginning of the path. I heard that in the entire Purple Kingdom, the fastest person to comprehend killing qi took a year, and that was our king. As for Lieutenant General Yu Qilong, he also spent 3 years to comprehend it. Actually, killing qi isn't necessary. Even if you don't understand it, you can still enter the bloody battlefield. However, every once in a while, you have to take a killing qi pill and rest. Of course, you can't use killing qi to increase your cultivation speed. Hey, Yu Qilong is just SO. Ling Xiao smiled. Yu Qilong spent 3 years, while the king of the Purple Kingdom spent 1 year. What about him? He felt that with the Sky Tyrant martial spirit, 1 month should be enough. Let's go. Take me to the Blood Evil Camp. Ling Xiao said. No, you really want to go. As a corporal, you can eat and drink well outside. After you retire, you can still get subsidies from the country. Your life won't be bad. There's no need to go to the bloody battlefield to die. Lei Bao still didn't want Ling Xiao to die, because if Ling Xiao died, he would be finished. It's because you have such thoughts that you can only be a corporal. Those who can survive the bloody battlefield. I'm afraid that the worst is a Chiliarch. Most of them should be captains and above, right? If you don't want to take a little risk, how can you be a warrior? Okay, don't talk nonsense, lead the way. Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't be scared by mere danger. Along the way, he had experienced quite a few dangers. But didn't he still manage to pull through? Walking out of the room, Lei Bao helplessly led the way. Lei Bao kept talking about how terrifying the bloody battlefield was. Ling Xiao was really impatient from listening. He said coldly, If you keep talking nonsense, do you believe that I'll kill you right now? You should pray that as long as I survive the bloody battlefield, I will give you the antidote for the soul-absorbing pill. Lei Bao shut his mouth. No matter how he persuaded, he couldn't do anything. He could only resign himself to fate. He only hoped that Ling Xiao wouldn't die in the bloody battlefield. It was different with someone leading the way. The two of them rode on the dread war horse and galloped. After galloping for more than an hour, they arrived at the Blood Evil Camp. The Blood Evil Camp wasn't a war camp. It was the only place that didn't have walls. All the warriors in the war camps could come here. This place is at least 100 miles away from the Fighting Dragon Camp. It's really frightening. Ling Xiao did a rough calculation. It took an hour to ride on the dread war horse. If an ordinary person walked, it would take a few days. The Blood Evil Camp was filled with a thick smell of blood. It was released by a huge skeleton in the plaza. That skeleton was dozens of meters long and dozens of meters tall. It was unknown what kind of monster it was, but it was terrifyingly huge. There were more than 100,000 warriors in the Blood Evil Camp who comprehended the cultivation method of fiendish aura. However, their cultivation was basically at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm and above. Ling Xiao came here when he was only at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Moreover, he was a recruit. Never before. It was simply a rare beast among rare beasts. A rare beast among rare beasts. No wonder Lei Bao kept persuading him not to come. You can go back. You will be in charge of the Lei Bao team for now. However, you are not allowed to deduct the military merits of those 8 people. If I find out that you are messing around, I will kill you and create an accident. No one will be able to find a problem with me. Chapter 36:11. Understood. Although Lei Bao was filled with resentment, he still had to listen to Ling Xiao, or else he would have to die. After Lei Bao left, Ling Xiao recalled the Warhorse of Terror. It was a standard mount for Purple Palace soldiers. It didn't have much combat strength, but it was good for traveling. The moment he walked into the Blood Fiend camp, he could feel a special energy fusing with his body. It made him feel uncomfortable. Black inscriptions flowed on the huge demon beast skeleton. These inscriptions couldn't be understood just by looking at them. He could only sense and comprehend them. Since someone had succeeded before, it meant that the method used was correct. However, the level of comprehension determined the success of some people. Some people couldn't succeed. Some people were faster, and some people were slower. As he walked, he suddenly saw a familiar figure, Zilong. After thinking for a moment, he decided not to disturb Zilong. Zilong should be comprehending the cultivation method of evil energy as well. Although it wasn't necessary to enter the Blood Fiend battlefield, there were still many benefits. For a man who wanted to use the Blood Fiend battlefield to increase his cultivation base, of course, he wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. Looking at how focused Zilong was, it wouldn't be good to disturb him. Besides, he always felt that getting involved in other people's grudges was a stupid thing to do. Right now, he just wanted to increase his cultivation base as quickly as possible and leave this place. His goal had never changed. But he didn't disturb Zilong. Zilong, on the other hand, noticed him. As expected of a divine core warrior, he was really sharp. You're here to comprehend the cultivation method of evil energy as well. When Zilong saw Ling Xiao, he was really surprised. After all, the weakest warrior here was at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Ling Xiao was only at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm, even if his combat strength was stronger than his cultivation base. But when comprehending something like this, cultivation base was still very important. Young Master Zilong, do you think it's impossible for me? Ling Xiao smiled. He knew Zilong was a straightforward young man, so he wasn't mocking him. He was just surprised. It's just an accident. Speaking of you, it seems like nothing is impossible. Who would have thought that you would be able to save me from a 2nd-level core formation martial artist? Zilong said with a smile. That was just a fluke. Ling Xiao said modestly, I didn't expect you to be so humble. However, if you only start comprehending now, I'm afraid you'll fall behind me. Zilong smiled. Did you come here early in the morning? Ling Xiao said in surprise. That's right, Before I joined the Z Mansion army, I came here to meditate because of Brother Qilong. It's been more than 7 months. My goal is to break His Majesty's record and succeed in comprehending it within a year. Zilong nodded. Although I comprehended it later than you did, I should be able to comprehend it earlier than you. Ling Shao smiled and said, For me, a month should be enough. F***CK. Aren't you exaggerating a little too much? Be careful not to be accused of being disrespectful to His Majesty the King. It was understandable for him to break some records, but it's a bit exaggerated to surpass them by so much. Zilong felt that Ling Shao was bragging. Although he thought that Ling Shao was an incredible guy, he still felt that 1 month was too ridiculous. Then let's wait and see. The reason why Ling Shao dared to be so confident was that he felt a trace of evil spirit the moment he stepped into the blood evil camp. His vision was always the whole mystic world. The geniuses of the 4 major fields were nothing in his eyes. It was just that they had more and better cultivation resources than him. Their foundation was not as solid as his. Their talent was not as good as his. It was only a matter of time before he surpassed him. You're still serious? Zilong was surprised. Did he really underestimate this guy in front of him? Okay, then let's work hard together. Zilong felt that he couldn't waste any more time. Okay. Ling Shao nodded and watched as Zilong entered a state of comprehension. He also sat down. He opened his Tai Chi eye and focused on studying the skeleton of the giant beast. With more than 100,000 people meditating together, Ling Shao was just a drop in the ocean. No one would care about his existence. Besides, the Z Mansion army had a rule that no one was allowed to disturb others in the blood evil camp. Otherwise, they would be severely punished. The tyrannical sky martial soul could accommodate everything. The Tai Chi eye could analyze any difficult incantations and inscriptions. With these 2 things, it was very easy for Ling Shao to meditate on these inscriptions. It could be said that this terrifying comprehension was not only outstanding in the 4 major fields, but also in the whole mystic world. It was definitely at the top. To meditate on these inscriptions, the first thing to do was to recognize what was written in these inscriptions. If one didn't even know what was written, then one couldn't meditate on it. Then there was no point in talking about comprehension. It was like a blind man touching an elephant. In fact, most people were stuck on this. Even those who spent 1 or 2 years to meditate on the cultivation method of evil spirit. In fact, half a year was spent studying the composition and meaning of these inscriptions. For Ling Shao, this was not a problem at all. It only took him a few minutes to do what others needed half a year to do. The Tai Chi I had already told him clearly what these inscriptions meant. Where should he start meditating? Everything changed from the hidden text to the clear text. Following that, success came naturally when the conditions were right. He guessed that Zilong had only just understood the meaning of these inscriptions. Only then did he truly begin to meditate. He used a few minutes to complete what Zilong had spent half a year to do. If this matter were to spread, Zilong would probably bang his head against the wall. He glanced at Zilong and closed his eyes again. Feeling the description of these inscriptions, he began to comprehend a deeper meaning. Finally, 20 days later, he suddenly discovered that there was a very special energy in his body. This energy fused into his quintessential essence, causing his quintessential essence to become even stronger. It was also more ferocious. Ordinary true essence did not have offensive properties. It was a neutral thing. It would only attack when the cultivator attacked. However, after fusing with evil spirit, the true essence had offensive properties. As long as danger came, it would automatically defend and counterattack without the cultivator activating it. In this way, it would become more and more difficult for others to sneak up on him. Is this evil spirit? Although it is a little mischievous, it is indeed very useful. Ordinary true essence was just a good child, but the true essence fused with evil spirit was a child full of fighting spirit. This should be the true essence of a cultivator. I'm sorry, Zilong. This time is even shorter than I thought. I thought it would take a month, but I didn't expect it to only take 20 days. This is more than 10 times faster than His Majesty's record. Ling Xiao smiled and did not tell Zilong about this. It was fine as long as he was happy. Chapter 36:12. Ling Xiao wasn't satisfied with the ordinary cultivation method. The conversion efficiency was too low. Just as he was trying to improve his baleful aura, the cosmic light tiger beast soul in his body suddenly let out a roar. What's going on? Ling Xiao could feel that the cosmic light tiger's roar was coming from the giant skeleton. He couldn't help but have an idea. Then he walked into the distance. He jumped onto a building and looked down from above. Only then did he discover the terrifying giant beast. Its appearance was 70% similar to the cosmic light tiger, but it was much bigger. Moreover, the cosmic light tiger gave off a sunny feeling. This fellow gave off a gloomy and terrifying feeling. Master, do you know what this is? Ling Xiao also had things he didn't know. After all, he didn't have enough experience yet. But Yuan Venerate was different. He was someone who had traveled all over the mystic world. He knew a lot of things. Let me see. Yuan Venerate woke up and said, Kid, you've struck gold. This thing is called the Hell Cosmic Light Tiger. It's different from the Cosmic Light Tiger in that it's only born in the Yin world. Its strength can even reach the 9th level of the Divine Core Realm. However, this Hell Cosmic Light Tiger is already dead. It's hard to estimate its strength when it was alive. Your Cosmic Light Tiger's beast soul must have sensed the remnant soul in the skeleton. That's why it reacted this way. If that's the case, can I convert this Hell Cosmic Light Tiger into one of my beast souls? Ling Xiao asked. Of course you can. However, this is very dangerous. If you're not careful and the Z Mansion army finds out, you'll be in trouble. Yuan Venerate reminded him. The bold will die from overeating, and the cowardly will starve to death. Anyway, I'm not going to destroy the skeleton. I'm just converting the remnant soul of the Hell Cosmic Light Tiger into my beast soul. I guarantee that no one will know. Ling Xiao smiled. I knew I couldn't persuade you. How about this? At night, when it's late at night, there will be fewer people comprehending here. Because comprehending is also very tiring, most people will choose to go back and rest. We'll come back during the day. At night, the Yin Qi was too strong, and the baleful aura was even more terrifying. Not everyone dared to take the risk. When the time comes, I'll set up a formation to conceal its aura. You can subdue it in a short time. The remnant soul of the Hell Universal Light Tiger was definitely not as powerful as the complete Hell Universal Light Tiger. Therefore, don't get your expectations too high. I think after the fusion, your Cosmic Tiger will evolve into the Yin-Yang Cosmic Tiger, and it will reach the 7th Divine Core Realm. However, because of your strength, you are still unable to unleash the full power of this beast spirit. However, the increase in battle prowess after the transformation is much stronger than the other beast spirits other than the everlasting heavenly rat. Yuan Venerate said after some thought, All right, I'll do as you say, Master. I'll consolidate my previous results first. Ling Xiao nodded. Actually, if you ask me, once you possess the Yin-Yang Cosmic Light Tiger Beast Soul, you don't need to comprehend that bullshit cultivation method anymore. This is because the baleful aura will naturally be transformed into your true essence through the Yin-Yang Universal Light Tiger. Furthermore, because the Yin-Yang Universal Light Tiger possesses both Yin and Yang attributes, your Beast Soul's special skill will also have 2 types. The body of Cosmic Light can increase your speed. As for the other skill, it's hard to say what it is, but I'm sure it won't be any weaker than the Cosmic Body. Yuan Venerate was indeed knowledgeable. Ling Xiao had never thought of such a thing. Then why am I still here? I might as well go back and come back tonight. Ling Xiao didn't want to waste any more time. Moreover, he really wanted to know what happened to those girls he had let go of. Although he had already done his best, they were still people he had saved, so he had to remember them. Ling Xiao, where are you going? Why are you giving up so quickly? Zilong couldn't help but ask when he saw Ling Xiao stand up. I'm going back for a while. I have some unfinished business. I'll come back tonight. You can continue cultivating. Ling Xiao smiled. Zilong was really someone worth befriending. He knew that Luo Yinyang's strength wasn't that great, but he was still willing to befriend him. In this world, people like him were rare. Many of them had a good relationship with you at the beginning, but immediately changed when they realized that you weren't strong enough. All right, I'll wait for you here, Zilong said with a nod. Then, Ling Xiao rode back on the fearsome warhorse. When he arrived at his residence, he sensed that the atmosphere wasn't right. He had stayed in the Blood Evil camp for a total of 20 days. During this period, some unexpected things might have happened. Those 8 people were still the same 8 people. However, they were very respectful to him when he left. Today, he realized that the 8 of them were hiding from him as if he was the plague. Furthermore, the corporal's room had been locked again. Interesting. Could Lei Bao's spirit-absorbing pill have been neutralized? Ling Xiao thought of this possibility. The 4 major regions weren't the West region after all. The alchemists here were still very powerful, so it wasn't impossible for them to neutralize the effects of the spirit-absorbing pill. If that was the case, wouldn't someone cause trouble for him when he returned? At this thought, he smirked, kicked open the door, and walked in. The furnishings inside didn't change, but his bedsheets and bedding were thrown away. Boy, you're finally back. I've been waiting for you for a long time. 2 people appeared in the darkness. One was Lei Bao, and the other was Tangchu Nunnery. It seems that you've been reinstated as a centurion. Ling Xiao looked at Tangchu Nunnery and sighed in his heart. Tangchu Nunnery had done such a thing, but was only suspended for 20 days before being reinstated. The Z Mansion army was even more sinister than he had imagined. That's right. Not only was the centurion officer reinstated, but I was also saved by the alchemist hired by the centurion. Your *T spirit absorbing pill can't restrain me anymore. Lei Bao became arrogant once again. Actually, I've been back since 10 days ago. However, you were in the Blood Evil camp, so I couldn't make a move there. That's why I've been waiting. I thought that you wouldn't come back. I was very disappointed. However, I didn't expect that. You actually chose to come back today. Tangchu Nunnery looked very happy. Today, I'll take revenge for my son, Tang Mo. Revenge? Do you mean that you're going to kill me here? The Z Mansion army has a rule that you can't casually kill people outside the bloody battlefield. Ling Xiao reminded him. You're too naive. I've made such a big mistake, but I was pardoned. You should know that I'm also a person with a background. Tangchu Nunnery sneered. Today, you have to die no matter what. Sorry, I haven't lived long enough. How can I die so casually? Ling Xiao shook his head and said, Tangchu Nunnery, since you've come back, you should obediently be a centurion instead of making trouble for me. Because if you do that, you won't have a good ending. I'm very sure. Chapter 30:613. Centurion, did you hear that? That brat is extremely arrogant. He knew that I was your subordinate, yet he dared to sever my manhood. I beg you, please let me deal with him. Don't kill him. Just cripple him. I want him to taste the cruelest thing in the world. Lei Bao said to Tang Chu Yuan excitedly. Don't worry. I won't enjoy this beautiful moment alone. Just killing him would be letting him off too easily. Tang Chu Yuan was reminded by Lei Bao. If he only killed Ling Xiao, it might cause trouble. After all, Yan Bing was watching him. But if he only crippled Ling Xiao, even Yan Bing wouldn't pay attention to a piece of trash. More importantly, as long as Ling Xiao didn't die, he could torture him to his heart's content. He could avenge his son, and at the same time find a way to get the treasures on this brat. He wanted to make Ling Xiao regret coming to this world, regret coming to the Purple Mansion army. Centurion is wise. This brat's arrogant temper must be suppressed properly. After Lei Bao was freed, he had obviously thrown the terror of Ling Xiao aside. To him, with Tang Chu Yuan around, Ling Xiao was nothing to be afraid of. Seeing the situation here, the other 8 soldiers of the Lei Bao squad were secretly worried about Ling Xiao. They didn't expect Tang Chuyuan to come back so early. They thought that Ling Xiao had subdued Lei Bao and their good days had come. But who would have thought that Tang Chuyuan would come back when Lei Bao was dying? And Tang Chuyuan was obviously even more terrifying and unbearable. It's over, it's over. This time, Ling Xiao is dead for sure. We're going to be in trouble too. What does it have to do with us? Lei Bao was crippled by Ling Xiao, and those women were also released by Ling Xiao. We didn't do anything from the beginning to the end. That's true, but it's a pity. I thought I could live again, but in the end, it's just a dream. Shut up. Are we really going to continue living like cowards? Suddenly, one of them shouted, "These days, without Lei Bao's oppression, we've been living very comfortably. Everyone's cultivation has improved. Don't you have any gratitude? In any case, I'm going all out. At worst, I'll just die. I also think it's too disloyal of us to do nothing. That's right. If we can take down Tang Chu Nunnery Centurion, we will really have good days ahead of us." Out of the 8 people, 3 of them wanted to help Ling Xiao. The remaining 5 people were still submissive and unwilling to meddle in other people's business. All right, from now on, we'll go our separate ways. Let's go and help Ling Xiao. As long as he doesn't die, we still have hope. The 3 of them walked out from the group and stood beside Ling Xiao. "What are you 3 doing? Rebellion?" Tang Chuan said coldly. "Rebel? We don't have any intention of rebelling. We just want to live more like humans." The leader of the 3 was called Jiang Qing. He shook his head and said, "Before Ling Xiao came, our days were 30% like humans and 70% like ghosts. We've really had enough. If Centurion wants to kill Ling Xiao, then kill all of us as well. At worst, we'll fight to the death." Ling Xiao looked at the 3 of them with some surprise. He originally thought that these 8 people would be crippled for the rest of their lives. He didn't expect that at this critical moment, 3 of them still acted like men. He couldn't help but smile. He didn't help these 3 people for nothing. Fight to the death? Hee. I'm afraid you don't have that ability. Tang Chuan sneered and said, "Now, you still have the chance to scram. I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, once I make a move, I'll definitely let the 3 of you know how to write the word regret. No need to talk nonsense. If you want to make a move, then do it. We're definitely not going to retreat." The 3 of them shook their heads and said, "Well, if that's the case, then I'll fulfill your wish." Tang Chuyuan sneered. His body suddenly trembled, and he pounced on the 3 of them. He wanted to kill the 3 of them first. Although killing 1 person in the Zifu army was nothing, killing 4 people at the same time was still very troublesome. Therefore, Tang Chuyuan's idea was to cripple the 3 of them first, and then slowly deal with them. Facing Tang Chuyuan's sudden attack, the 5 of them shook their heads. The remaining 5 shook their heads. Fortunately, we didn't go crazy. Otherwise, we would have ended up like them. "We're dead," Jiang Qing roared. "Even if I die, I'll die a heroic death. Unlike the 5 of you cowards, you'll be slaves for the rest of your lives and be tortured to death. Brothers, kill with me. After 30 years, we'll still be heroes." The resentment that had been suppressed for many years completely exploded at this moment. However, what Jiang Qing didn't expect was that before Tang Chuyuan's attack arrived, he was caught by the 2 people behind him. Centurion Jiang Qing is extremely audacious. The 2 of us pretended to be with him in order to capture him. The actions of the 2 people stunned Tang Chuyuan, and his attack also paused for a moment. "Ha ha ha ha, good, well done. Jiang Qing, now you understand, right? Only death awaits you if you fight with me." Tang Chuyuan laughed very happily. "You too hold him down. I'll cripple him now." After pausing for a moment, Tang Chuyuan launched another attack. Jiang Qing was held down and couldn't move at all. "You 2 cowards, you shameless bastards!" Jiang Qing roared, but there was nothing he could do. However, he didn't regret it. He only regretted that in the end he was the only one who was willing to live like a human, even if he could only live for 1 minute. It's too early for you to die now. Just when Jiang Qing closed his eyes and was about to accept death, a voice suddenly sounded in his ears. It was a calm voice. Then he felt that he was lifted up by someone. The two people who held him had already been sent flying. He opened his eyes and found himself next to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao! Jiang Qing was shocked. At the same time, Tang Chuyuan's attack also landed on the ground, and a pit was formed on the ground. Brother! To be honest, I didn't expect you to stand up. However, since you've made your choice, I won't let you die so easily. I'll have to trouble you for a while. As he spoke, Ling Xiao directly put Jiang Qing into the beast ring. If he was alone, it wouldn't be a burden at all. Then he looked at Tang Chuyuan again. As for the two pieces of trash who were sent flying and couldn't get up from the ground, he didn't bother to look at them. Boy, you can't even protect yourself, but you still want to save others. Tang Chuyuan looked at Ling Xiao. He was a little surprised. Ling Xiao's speed was simply too fast. Even he didn't see clearly when he saved Jiang Qing just now. He started to feel that he might have underestimated this guy. However, he was at the 8th level of the Divine Pulse Realm. Ling Xiao was only at the 4th level of the Divine Pulse Realm. Without a treasure like the Fire Dragon Mark, Ling Xiao was no match for him at all. Chapter 36:14. It's not up to you to decide whether or not I can't even protect myself. Ling Xiao said with an indifferent tone, If you want to kill me, just do it. I can guarantee that before you kill me, you'll make sure everyone knows about it. Your so-called backer is actually Chiliarch Chen Qian, right? If worst comes to worst, I'll go to Captain Fong Ming. If worst comes to worst, I'll go to Yu Qilong. I'd like to see if he'll still protect someone like you. Tang Chuyuan stared at Ling Xiao. He really felt that this guy was a tough nut to crack. If he couldn't kill him, he would be in big trouble, and he wouldn't be able to hide it from everyone. Lei Bao, and the 7 of you, guard the entrance, don't let him escape. If not, I'll hold you responsible. Tang Chuyuan suddenly shouted out. Understood. Including Lei Bao, the 8 men hastily ran to the entrance. This courtyard was their team's personal residence. It wasn't very big, and the walls were very tall. It wouldn't be easy for Ling Xiao to jump out and run away, unless he could fly like a divine core warrior. Don't bother, I don't need to run away from you. Ling Xiao said with an indifferent smile on his face. That guy is really arrogant. Even at this moment, where does he get his arrogance from? Lei Bao was puzzled. Logically speaking, Ling Xiao was no match for Tang Chuyuan. Not to mention, all 8 of them were here. Why was he still so arrogant? Sergeant, no matter how arrogant he is, he's just courting death. A man said in a flattering manner. It was as if this man had forgotten how this so-called sergeant had tortured him in the past. He had also forgotten who had saved them from the abyss of suffering. This was why people always said that a slut would always be a slut. I'd like to see where you get your confidence from. Kill. Tang Chuyuan didn't waste any more time. He stomped his feet and dashed forward, charging toward Ling Xiao. The terrifying aura caused the dust on the ground to fly everywhere, forming a crazy storm of energy. The powerful aura swept towards Ling Xiao. Before the attack even arrived, the aura had already suppressed Ling Xiao to the point that he could barely breathe. At this moment, Ling Xiao felt as if a gust of wind was blowing towards him, making it difficult for him to breathe. However, he had yet to display his true strength. You want to suppress me with your mere aura at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm? Break! With a roar, he instantly transformed into the everlasting Heavenly Rat. At the same time, the demon god Sword Soul appeared behind him. The fiend god that represented light and darkness released a majestic sword intent. It directly pierced through the aura of the nunnery of Tangchu. Then, Ling Xiao took out Ice Age. He continuously used Frozen Instant and Ice River 9 turns. Not only did he not retreat, but he also charged at Tangchu Nunnery. Bloodthirsty Plague. Sanguinary Rats, Level 1. The Bloodthirsty Plague could weaken the opponent's strength. The first level of the Sanguinary Rat could double his combat power. Although it wasn't much, fortunately there were no side effects. Together with the innate 30% Divine Demon Sword Soul, his attack power would increase by 13 times. Furthermore, the Purple Spirit Armor had doubled his combat power. Right now, Ling Xiao had basically used all the enhancements he could, except for the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. It is indeed a divine Great Emperor weapon. Seeing the Ice Age in Ling Xiao's hands, Tang Chu's eyes flashed with greed. In fact, he was already interested in this weapon when he was in the arena. Now, as long as Ling Xiao fell into his hands, the Ice Age would be his. A divine Emperor artifact was something that even a major general would covet. He had to get his hands on it before anyone else snatched it away. However, greed didn't change his goal. If he wanted to snatch this divine Great Empyrean weapon from Ling Xiao, he would have to kill Ling Xiao first. Ling Xiao could clearly see the greed in Tang Chu's eyes. However, there were many people who wanted to snatch the Ice Age from him, but no one had succeeded. Although Ling Xiao wasn't very strong, he still had the ability to protect his weapon. If Tang Chu wanted it, he would have to pay a price first. Right now, he still couldn't kill Tang Chu Nunnery in public. After all, he was a centurion. If he killed him, there would be a big problem. In the worst-case scenario, he would be sentenced to death. Even if he could escape, he would probably be blacklisted by the Z-Mansion army. That wasn't what he wanted. If he wanted to kill Tang Chu, he had to think about it carefully. In fact, with his current strength, he couldn't kill Tang Chu. Unless his cultivation improved again, it would be very difficult for him to kill Tang Chu even if he could contend with him. The reason why he chose to fight instead of leaving was that he wanted to get some benefits from Tang Chu. This guy's cultivation was so strong, so his understanding of the divine pulse realm was naturally higher than his. The Tai Chi Eye could steal Tang Chu's understanding of the divine pulse realm. Then, the Heart of Gold could help him make a breakthrough. This was a good thing that would only bring benefits and no harm. Why wouldn't he do it? Anyway, there was still some time before night. It would be a waste if he didn't fight. Peak King Tier martial skills were no longer a threat to Tang Chunwan. Tang Chu attacked with a first-level Emperor-level martial skill. It was also the first-level Emperor-level martial skill, Ninefold Demonic Slash, which was commonly practiced by all the Z-Mansion army. After becoming a centurion, the Z-Mansion army would get a first-level Emperor-level martial skill. It was the Ninefold Demonic Slash. Tang and Mo had used it before. However, it was obvious that the Ninefold Demonic Slash was more powerful in Tang Chu's hands. After all, the stronger his cultivation, the more experience he had. His control of the Ninefold Demonic Slash was much better than Tang Mo's Centurion. With this attack, the Frozen Instant and Ice River 9 turns were instantly destroyed. Although one of the Ninefold Demonic Slash's forces was also offset. However, there were still 8 streams of energy that rushed towards Ling Xiao. At that moment, the entire space was filled with terrifying killing intent. It made people feel very uncomfortable. 9 turns God Fiend technique. Initial appearance of divine light. Demonic shadow attack. Ling Xiao didn't dare to be careless. He directly used the second move of the 9 turns God Fiend technique. Because his cultivation was much lower than his opponent's, the power of the first move was obviously not enough. At that moment, the aggressive true essence in his body crazily poured into the black and white swords. The 9 turns God Fiend technique became even more domineering and violent. The black and white lights suddenly merged into one. God and demon appeared at the same time and charged toward Tang Chu. The perfect fusion of light and darkness. This was the first time Xiao Qin used his baleful qi quintessence in this strike. What's going on? Tang Chuan was startled. He didn't use his full strength to deal with Ling Xiao at all. He only used 70% of his strength. After all, in his opinion, Ling Xiao's cultivation was much weaker than his, so there was no need for him to use his full strength. But at this moment, his expression changed drastically. Ling Xiao's attack was much stronger than he had imagined. It was completely beyond the previous battle with Tang Mo. Even if it was the same move, the power was completely different. Chapter 36:15. Boom! A terrifying explosion exploded in the small courtyard. The houses in the courtyard shook, and the tiles fell from above and shattered. Tangchu Nunnery was indeed very strong. However, he was only at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Moreover, he didn't use his full strength in this attack because he underestimated his opponent. However, Ling Xiao didn't do the same. After accumulating many means, he even borrowed some of the power of the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. He attacked Tangchu Nunnery with all his strength. In the end, Tangchu Nunnery's attack was shattered by Ling Xiao, and Tangchu Nunnery himself was sent flying. He crashed into the sturdy wall. After bouncing back, he actually spat out a mouthful of blood. It had to be said that the buildings in the 4 regions were really sturdy. If it was in the West region, the house would have collapsed long ago. While Tangchu Nunnery was injured, Ling Xiao didn't stay idle. He used the last chance of the Fire Dragon Mark. If Tangchu Nunnery was at his peak, the Fire Dragon Mark could only cause him minor injuries. But now he was sent flying by Ling Xiao and was about to get up. At this moment, he was suddenly attacked by the Fire Dragon Mark. He couldn't dodge in time, and his shoulder blade was directly penetrated. His combat strength suddenly decreased greatly. However, Ling Xiao didn't give him any chance. He attacked crazily again and again. He used the Emperor-level martial technique as if it didn't cost money. Feeling the huge consumption of potential in his body, his cultivation and energy were also crazily rising. It only slowed down when it reached 70%. At this moment, Tangchu Nunnery was already seriously injured. All of this was because Tangchu Nunnery underestimated his opponent at the beginning. He had underestimated his opponent once, and it had caused him to lose irrevocably. Ling Xiao decided to go all the way and directly cripple Tangchu Nunnery. This would save him a lot of trouble. However, just as he was about to do that, Cheng Qian, that old bastard, appeared. As a Chiliarch, he didn't come earlier or later. He came when Ling Xiao had the advantage. This was completely premeditated. Chiliarch, as a corporal, I challenged the centurion, Tangchu Nunnery, and won. Can I become a centurion? Ling Xiao looked at Cheng Qian and blocked Cheng Qian's mouth first, finding a good excuse for himself. Challenging a centurion can only be done in public, and treasures like the Fire Dragon Mark are not allowed. Although you won today, it's useless. If you really want to challenge me, I'll give you a chance after a while. Cheng Qian glanced at Ling Xiao and said, he had originally rushed over to clean up the mess in Tangchu Nunnery. After all, it would be troublesome if Tangchu Nunnery killed Ling Xiao. But who knew that when he came here, he would find that the situation was completely different from what he had imagined. Ling Xiao was fine, but Tangchu Nunnery was almost destroyed. He was about to ask for an explanation, but Ling Xiao's words directly blocked his words. To be honest, he was a Chiliarch. There were some things that were more convenient than centurions and Decharches. After all, the higher one's position was, the less one could afford to make mistakes. Otherwise, everything that he had worked so hard to accumulate would be wasted in vain. He had given Tangchu Nunnery a chance to kill Ling Xiao, but Tangchu Nunnery didn't seize it, so he couldn't be blamed. Lei Bao, take the centurion away for treatment. Before Cheng Qian left, he took a deep look at Ling Xiao, as if he felt that he had underestimated this guy. After not seeing him for 20 days, he felt that his strength seemed to have improved. Cheng Qian, Lei Bao, and Tangchu Nunnery left. As for the remaining 7 people, they were out of luck. Ling Xiao was more vengeful than Lei Bao. He directly crippled all 7 of them. Anyway, it was fine as long as he didn't kill them. As for Jiang Qing, he was going to ask Zilong to recommend him to the City Defense Army. The Zifu Army was very popular in the City Defense Army. Anyway, Jiang Qing didn't want to go to the bloody battlefield, and he would be bullied even if he stayed in the Zifu army. It was better for him to work in the city defense army. After telling Jiang Qing this idea, Jiang Qing nodded repeatedly. He had had enough of the days he spent in the Z Mansion army. In fact, he had long wanted to go out, but he didn't have a chance. Because there was no one to recommend him, he couldn't leave on his own. Otherwise, he would be a deserter. After discussing, Ling Xiao returned to the corporal training room to absorb and master the results of the fight with Tang Chu Nunnery. Jiang Qing stood guard outside the door. At the same time, in Chang Qian's residence, Tang Chu Nunnery had already woken up, but she looked very unhappy. If I hadn't underestimated him at the beginning, I wouldn't have been defeated by him. Moreover, that guy used the fire dragon mark 3 times, which was simply an accident. As soon as I recover, I'll definitely kill him. Tang Chu Nunnery was too excited, which affected her wound, causing her to grimace in pain. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. You should take care of your wound first. If you want to deal with that guy, you'll have plenty of chances. Just don't underestimate him in the future. With your wound, I estimate that you'll recover in a dozen or so days. During this period of time, that guy's strength won't be able to improve greatly. Therefore, he definitely won't be your match. As for Lei Bao, you can follow Tang Chu Nunnery's centurion as a bodyguard, lest you get bullied by that guy when you go back. Qing Qian still didn't want to deal with Ling Xiao personally, because if he couldn't succeed, he might set himself on fire. It's better to let Tang Chu Nunnery and Lei Bao deal with him. He just needs to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. The sky finally darkened. Ling Xiao also opened his eyes from his training. After this round of training, the energy in his sea of cultivation had increased by another 10%, reaching 80%. His combat experience had basically been completely absorbed. For him, every opponent actually had their own merits. Even those who lost to him were the same. The Tai Chi Eye could capture these merits and then make them his. In this way, he could absorb all the merits of his opponents and turn them into his own merits. In this way, he could achieve greater success. He took Jiang Qing and went to the Blood Evil camp together. He told Zilong, who was resting, about Jiang Qing's matter. Zilong said that this was just a small matter, and directly went to find Fang Ming, asking him for help. Jiang Qing's matter was thus settled. He then took advantage of the night to leave the Z Mansion army. If Tang Chu Nunnery or Lei Bao found out during the day, there would be trouble again. After Jiang Qing left, Ling Xiao began to subdue the Hell Universal Tiger. At this moment, the Blood Evil camp had lost nearly 90% of its members. There used to be more than 100,000 people. Now, there were only slightly more than 10,000 people left. In this huge Blood Evil camp, the 10,000 people looked very sparse. For Ling Xiao, this was also the best opportunity. In order to break the record, Zilong didn't leave the camp day and night. Anyway, he had nothing else to do. He didn't need to train, nor did he need to carry out any missions. He just needed to devote himself to comprehending the baleful aura. Yuan Venerate set up a formation, temporarily isolating Ling Xiao from the rest. Then, the remnant soul of the Hell Universal Tiger was awakened. Although it was just a remnant soul, it was still about 70%. The terrifying aura was just like the pressure of a divine core warrior. Chapter 36:16. Ling Xiao had to release his Sky Tyrant Martial soul to resist the pressure released by the remnant soul. Fortunately, it was late at night, and everyone was comprehending. Coupled with the isolation of the array, no one noticed the strange situation. The remnant soul transformed into the appearance of the Hell Universal Light Tiger. Compared to the Universal Light Tiger, it was more ferocious and terrifying. It was naturally bloodthirsty. Don't be afraid of that fellow. No matter how ferocious it is, it's just a remnant soul now. You have the Sky Tyrant Martial soul, so it won't be a problem for you to suppress it. After subduing the remnant soul, immediately transform it into a beast soul. There are too many experts in the Purple Mansion army, so we don't want to be seen through. The Yuan Venerate reminded him. Got it, master. Ling Xiao nodded. A black universe appeared within the array formation. Like a huge beast, it swallowed the remnant soul of the Hell Universal Light Tiger. After swallowing it, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged. Sensing the violent remnant soul in the Mountain River realm, he began to transform. The white Universal Light Tiger and the black Hell Universal Light Tiger began to fuse. However, this time, it wasn't one swallowing the other. It was a perfect fusion and evolution. If someone could enter this array, they would see his entire body shining with a golden light. Under this light, there was a terrifying shadow. The profound meanings of light and darkness were once again reflected on this beast soul. Ling Xiao was really glad that he had mastered these two profound meanings. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy to fuse them. Gradually, the original Universal Light Tiger Beast soul changed completely. On its originally golden body, there were actually some black, ferocious edges and corners growing out. It was like a layer of armor. It emitted a sinister and terrifying aura. Indeed, in addition to the original Universal Light body, there is an additional offensive skill, Rage of the Black Soul. Like all other skills, the Rage of the Black Soul would continue to improve as the grade of the Beast Soul increased. Moreover, this second skill was obviously more domineering than the first. In terms of its current power, the Rage of the Black Soul had already surpassed the Fire Dragon mark. Even a true Element 8th level martialist would be seriously injured by this sudden attack. Like the Fire Dragon mark, the attack of the Rage of the Black Soul could completely ignore defense. It was completely different from the attack of a martial technique. For a martial skill attack, if the opponent's attack was also very strong, its power would be weakened. If the opponent's defense was strong, they would also be weakened. However, the Fire Dragon Mark and Onyx Soul's wrath would not. In other words, as long as the attack hit the enemy, it would be true damage. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but smile. Coincidentally, he had already used the Fire Dragon Mark 3 times. This Rage of the Onyx Soul came at the right time. What made Ling Xiao the most excited was that he had fused with the Hell Universal Tiger's remnant soul to form the Yin-Yang Universal Tiger Beast Soul. Ling Xiao's cultivation C energy increased by another 10%, reaching 90%. The next breakthrough was not far away. From the looks of it, he really should go to the bloody battlefield. In the bloody battlefield, there should be a lot of monsters like the Hell Cosmic Tiger. Apart from the 9-snake General Beast Soul and the current Yin-Yang Universal Tiger Beast Soul, he had other beast souls. In fact, they were already holding him back. This was especially true for the peerless Heavenly Rat's Beast Soul. He had to find a beast soul that could raise its quality as soon as possible, or else it would be really troublesome. In the recent battles, he could feel that the peerless Heavenly Rat Beast Soul's transformation didn't bring him as much improvement as before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have needed to use the Tyrant Martial Soul to deal with Tang Chu Nunnery. Let me consolidate my strength here. I need to get used to the Yin-Yang Universal Tiger Beast Soul. Also, it can directly absorb the murderous aura and convert it into Murderous Aura True Yuan, becoming my strength. I've used too many Emperor rank martial skills before, so my potential is being consumed very quickly. I should absorb a large amount of murderous aura and store it for a rainy day. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao closed his eyes once again, although he was in a hurry to go to the bloody battlefield. However, he knew that haste makes waste. Therefore, he had to be fully prepared before he set off. It would be best if he could go with Zilong. Zilong was a divine core warrior, and as a companion he was absolutely reliable. Although he was now able to fight with an 8th level divine vein warrior, it was still difficult for him to win, unless his opponent underestimated him, like Tang Chu Nunnery. Otherwise, there was no way. Just like that, another 20 days had passed. Zilong had been studying the cultivation method of murderous aura for 8 months. As for Ling Xiao, he had been staying in the Blood Evil camp for nearly 2 months. With the help of the Yin-Yang Universal Tiger, he had merged a large amount of murderous aura into his cells. Almost half of his stored potential had been consumed, but now, not only was his potential fully replenished, the total amount had doubled. It was because the murderous aura had transformed his body, making him more like a warrior. Ling Xiao, someone's looking for you. He had been staying in the Blood Evil camp for more than 20 days, and no one had come to disturb him. But he knew that as long as he didn't enter the bloody battlefield, he would have to complete the missions assigned by the Purple Mansion Army. Perhaps a mission had arrived. The Purple Mansion Army wouldn't keep idle people around unless you entered the bloody battlefield. Otherwise, you would have to carry out missions. After the new recruit period every month, he would have to complete at least 10 C rank missions, 5 B rank missions, or 1 A rank mission. Naturally, the difficulty of the missions would get higher and higher. Just as he had expected, Cheng Qian personally came to give him a mission, asking his team to deliver an urgent letter to a checkpoint 100 miles away from Chaoyang City. The difficulty of the mission was a rank. Although it was just a letter delivery mission, the troublesome thing was that they had to pass through dense forests and wastelands where demonic beasts ran rampant. Generally, only people with the rank of sergeant and above dared to take on this kind of mission, and it would be carried out in a team. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was the only one in his team. Then, this mission could only be carried out by him alone. He didn't want to accept this mission, but Cheng Qian was very determined. Cheng Qian was a chiliarch, and he couldn't change his mind. But Ling Xiao reminded himself in his heart. Cheng Qian insisted that he carry out this mission. Was there some conspiracy behind this mission? After all, Cheng Qian was with Tangchu Nunnery. Forget it. Don't think too much about it. Unless that old bastard Cheng Qian does it himself, I will kill whoever comes. Ling Xiao now really wanted to find someone to test the power of the rage of the Black Soul. If there was someone who didn't have eyes, he really wanted to see. After accepting the mission, Ling Xiao set out immediately. He didn't want to waste time, because before carrying out this mission, he felt that Zilong seemed to have comprehended the cultivation method of the evil spirit. This had something to do with him. Because his cultivation had affected Zilong, it made Zilong's comprehension speed increase by leaps and bounds. Originally, Zilong couldn't have surpassed the king of the Purple Mansion country, but thanks to him he could break the record. Chapter 36:17. As for the speed at which Ling Xiao comprehended the evil aura cultivation method, that was a special case among special cases. It was best not to make it public. Otherwise, if others knew that he only used 20 days to do something that the king took a year to do, there would be a big problem. Before sending the letter, Ling Xiao went to the Purple Mansion Army's logistics department to get a bow. This was an arcane bow. It didn't need an arrow. He only needed to inject true essence into the array on the bow to shoot true essence arrows. It was extremely powerful. The reason why he wanted to get this bow, that was because the bow had the widest attack range. He had the Tai Chi eye and could see through other things. With the improvement of his cultivation, he could see everything within 1,000 meters clearly. Other attacks couldn't reach him within 1,000 meters. But if it was a bow, there wouldn't be any problems. This way, if he encountered any trouble, he could take the initiative and solve it in advance. After getting this arcane bow, he left on the fearsome warhorse. He hoped that he could go and come back quickly. As soon as Ling Xiao left Chaoyang City, 3 figures appeared at the city gate, and they obviously followed him out. These 3 people were quite burly. It was obvious that they were well built from frequent training. The Chiliarch has given us such a good opportunity. We can't miss it. He's out on a mission alone. Even if he dies halfway, no one will be able to find us. All 3 of them were wearing masks, so it was impossible to tell who they were. The person who spoke had white hair. He was probably not young, and his aura was very powerful. Don't worry, Centurion. With the 3 of us working together, that kid won't be able to escape. The plan this time is absolutely foolproof. Not only will he die, but the treasures on him will also be ours. The other person's voice was obviously weak, as if a part of his body had been castrated. This caused his yang qi to be unable to replenish. This person's hatred for Ling Xiao was very strong. He had a feeling that he wouldn't give up until he killed Ling Xiao. About an hour later, Ling Xiao arrived at a dense forest. This was a path that wasn't very wide. It was only about 4 meters wide, and there were dense forests on both sides. They could even hear the roars of demonic beasts coming from the forest. This terrifying forest was like a terrifying beast, and Ling Xiao felt that he was rushing towards its mouth. This feeling of danger made one's scalp tingle. However, he was a martial artist and a Violet Palace soldier. He couldn't be afraid just because of this little bit of danger. After walking for a while, several powerful demonic beasts would appear on the main road from time to time. Ling Xiao directly took out the arcanum bow. He infused his true energy into the bowstring, and a chilling true energy arrow appeared on the bowstring. The bowstring vibrated continuously, making a low, trembling sound. Ling Xiao could even feel the terrifying, explosive power of this arrow. Bang! Whoosh! The true essence arrow, which was wrapped in an icy aura, suddenly pierced through the air. Like a star in the darkness, it instantly hit a demonic beast 500 to 600 meters away. Puff! The monstrous beast's head was directly pierced by the true essence arrow, and the cold ice chi instantly exploded. The entire demonic beast's body gradually froze. It didn't even have the chance to struggle before it couldn't move anymore. This demonic beast that looked like a wild boar had the strength of a 1-star 6th level divine vein realm cultivator. If it was a head-on battle, even martial artists of the same cultivation level would find it very difficult to fight it. However, Ling Xiao killed it with a single arrow. This saved him a lot of trouble. The reason why his archery was so outstanding was because of his Tai Chi eye. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so accurate. Ling Xiao jumped off the horse, took the demonic beast's crystal core, and continued forward. This demonic beast's crystal core could not only directly increase his cultivation level, but it could also be used to refine elixirs. Naturally, he couldn't waste it. As for the other materials, he didn't have time to deal with them. After all, the mission was more important. After completing the mission, he still had to go back and prepare to enter the bloody battlefield. The power of the bow was indeed terrifying. He roughly calculated. Within 100 meters, his attack was equivalent to a Pete King level martial technique. Within 1,000 meters, he also had the destructive power of a High King level martial technique. In addition, the true essence arrow was infused with special elements. For example, the 9-snake general's poison. For example, the frost dragon's ice. For example, the bloodthirsty plague's germs. And the most terrifying of all, the heavenly fire and immortal fire. After infusing them, the power would increase tremendously. If he infused them with the heavenly fire, the power within 100 meters might reach the level of a god or demon. He was very satisfied with this. The reason why he took this arcanum bow was purely on a whim. He didn't expect the effect to be so good. Along the way, it really helped him solve a lot of problems. Perhaps when he went to the bloody battlefield, this thing would also be useful. Just as he was thinking about this, he suddenly jumped off the horse and put away the fearsome warhorse. A cold light just happened to fly over his head. It fell into the forest and directly broke a small tree that was as thick as the mouth of a bull. Who is it? Ling Xiao got into a defensive posture. He just felt the danger coming, so he reacted that way. Hee, I really didn't expect you to have this kind of ability. It's really surprising. A voice came from the front. Ling Xiao activated his Tai Chi eye. About 600 meters away, a man in black stood on a tree with a mask on his face. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The other party was very strong. His movement technique was outstanding. Standing on the tree branch, he was like a nimble bird. The tree branch didn't even sway. 8th level of the divine vein realm. Ling Xiao frowned. This person's strength was comparable to a centurion, and his aura was very familiar. Who are you? How dare you attack the Purple Mansion army? Ling Xiao silently circulated his quintessential essence and transferred it to the arcanum bow in his hand. He was ready to fight at any time. Although a martial artist in the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm was still a difficult hurdle for him to overcome. Since he met him today, he couldn't admit defeat. Purple Mansion Army? You are indeed scary, but the Purple Mansion Army won't care if I kill you. The other party mocked. Although the voice had changed, Ling Xiao still felt that he had heard it somewhere before. Moreover, after the other party's sneak attack failed, he didn't seem to have the intention to attack again. This made Ling Xiao instantly alert. If there was something abnormal, there must be something wrong. If the other party didn't attack, it could only mean that he had other companions. Suddenly, 2 figures dashed out from both sides of the forest. Without making a sound, he launched a powerful attack on him. As expected, he really had companions. These 2 companions weren't weak either. They were actually martial artists in the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm, which was equivalent to a sergeant in the Purple Mansion Army. He could deal with one, but it was a little troublesome to deal with 2. However, Ling Xiao felt that the biggest problem was the martial artist in the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm in front of him. Chapter 36:18. Goodbye, kid. It's best that you go to hell like this. The person in front suddenly attacked. He coordinated with the other 2 and attacked from 3 sides. This guy was using a thick and heavy steel saber. Just by looking at the material of the steel saber, one could tell that the saber was very strong. Just by looking at it, one could tell that it wasn't an ordinary item. It should be a well-tempered steel that was infused with special materials. Its quality had reached the level of an immortal grade Emperor artifact. It was even more outstanding than his 9 supremacy swords. The saber shone with a blue light. It was actually smeared with poison. It seemed like the other party really wanted him dead. This kind of poison would probably kill him as long as it came into contact with his skin. Fortunately, the person in front was 600 meters away from him. This gave him enough time to take the initiative. His body instantly transformed into the Hell Universal Light Tiger Beast Soul. An awe-inspiring and terrifying aura was released from his body. Then, 3 black arrows appeared on the Enigma bow. These 3 arrows were infused with the terrifying aura of hell and became even more terrifying. Go to hell! The 2 black-clothed men on both sides were only 100 meters away from him. Under his Taiji eye, the 2's movements were completely under his control. He had even perfectly calculated when he would be able to get close to him. As for the person in front of him, he was about 300 meters away. I'll pin down the 8th level Divine Vein Martial Artist first. Then, I'll kill the 7th level Divine Vein Martial Artist. Finally, I'll have a showdown with the 8th level Divine Vein Martial Artist. This was Ling Xiao's plan. Although the 7th level Divine Vein Martial Artist was a big threat to him, he had enough ability to kill him. So, getting rid of them first was the key to winning this battle. Otherwise, if he was attacked by the 3 of them, he would have no chance of winning and could only escape. The 2 enemies on both sides were less than 100 meters away. The enemy in front was already less than 100 meters away from him. This was the difference in strength. The enemy in front was obviously faster. It seemed like they had calculated the 3-pronged attack. The reason why the enemy in front was so far away was so that they could attack Ling Xiao at the same time. They didn't give Ling Xiao any chance. The 3 of them revealed cruel smiles in their eyes. It was as if they could already see the scene of Ling Xiao being chopped into pieces by them. However, they did not know that Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye had locked onto them all along. Even the subtle changes in their true essence were accurately grasped. Suddenly, the Tai Chi eye captured the changes in the quintessential essence in the body of the attacking expert. It was obvious that he was condensing a move. Opportunity. At this moment, Ling Xiao suddenly shot out 3 black true essence arrows, simultaneously shooting towards the enemy in front of him. It was less than 100 meters away. The power of the 3 genuine essence arrows was equivalent to a Pete King level martial skill. Moreover, when releasing the 3 true essence arrows, Ling Xiao had deliberately used a little trick. This caused the 3 true essence arrows to fly in different directions and at different speeds. This way, the opponent would not be able to hit all 3 at the same time. I've never seen a martial artist using a bow before. In this world, there were almost no martial arts techniques related to archery. I really don't know where you get your courage from to attack me with this thing. The expert in the 8th level of the Divine Vein realm smiled coldly, full of disdain and ridicule towards Ling Xiao's attack. He probably felt that Ling Xiao's attack was purely a waste of energy. Swish, 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 when the 3 black, quintessential arrows were about to hit him head-on. The 8th level of the Divine Vein realm martial artist's expression changed drastically. Different from what he had imagined, the power of the 3 true essence arrows was extremely terrifying. The power of each arrow was equivalent to a Peak King level martial skill. What he could not understand the most was that the 3 true essence arrows were clearly shot out at the same time, but the angle and speed were different. Each arrow was aimed at his vital points. It made him feel as if there were thorns in his back. His attack was originally intended to kill Ling Xiao, but he had no choice but to use it to block the true essence arrows. The steel saber in his hand danced. Bang! A true essence arrow was knocked away. However, the terrifying power shook his arm until it was numb. Before he could catch his breath, the 2nd true essence arrow came flying towards him. At this moment, he had completely missed the chance to join forces with his companions. A moment of delay could lead to the complete failure of the encirclement. He wanted to speed up and complete the encirclement with his companions. However, the remaining 2 quintessential essence arrows completely sealed off his path forward. If he wanted to dodge the 2nd arrow, he would not be able to dodge the 3rd arrow, unless he chose to retreat. However, if he did that, the entire plan would fail. Damn it! How did this kid do it? How could he make such accurate judgments and calculations in an instant? The 8th level of the Divine Vein realm martial artist's expression turned extremely grave. He had no choice but to retreat. Even he would be severely injured if he was hit by a Peak King level martial skill. This was the terrifying part of the Tai Chi Eye. The reason why Ling Xiao could defeat so many experts above his level was because of the Tai Chi Eye. Apart from his many abilities to increase his strength, the most important thing was the Tai Chi Eye. It could assist him in making perfect calculations and attacks. It was a pity that the enemy did not know about it. The plan went smoothly. The 3 true essence arrows successfully forced the 8th level of the Divine Vein realm martial artist to retreat. Next, it would be the doomsday of the 2 7th level Divine Vein realm martial artists. Kid, you can only take advantage of this to catch your breath. After being ambushed by the 3 of us today, don't even think about returning to the Zifu army alive. The 8th level Divine Vein realm martial artist roared furiously as he retreated. He thought that Ling Xiao was going to escape. However, in fact, Ling Xiao did not intend to escape. His target was the 2 7th level Divine Vein realm martial artists who were attacking him from both sides. He instantly put away the mystic bow. Ling Xiao directly pounced on the person on the left. He could feel that the person on the left had the weakest aura and was the easiest to kill. Universe body, blizzard ice ceiling step. In that instant, his speed was extremely fast. It was as if he had turned into a golden light. However, the enemy's speed suddenly slowed down. This guy. So this is his real target. You too, hold on. The martial artist at the 8th level of the Divine Vein realm finally realized Ling Xiao's true motive. He immediately started to worry about his 2 subordinates. However, in his opinion, even if Ling Xiao was powerful and could defeat one of them, it was impossible for him to kill them instantly. As long as the 2 of them could hold on, he would be able to rescue them. At this moment, he had already blocked the 2nd true essence arrow. He didn't need the 2 7th level Divine Vein realm martial artists to kill Ling Xiao. As long as the 2 of them could keep Ling Xiao occupied, they would not let him escape. Then he was sure that he could kill him. However, the answer Ling Xiao gave him was much more terrifying than he had imagined. Facing such a ferocious opponent, Ling Xiao did not have the slightest intention of showing mercy. Ice Age instantly turned into black and white swords. The descent of gods and demons of the 9 transformation technique had been blasted out. Chapter 36:19. The Yin-Yang Universal Light Tiger had greatly increased Ling Xiao's speed. The enemy didn't even have time to react. The terrifying black and white sword light instantly pierced through the throat of the man on the left. Pucci! Blood spurted out of the man's throat as he fell to the ground and died. He didn't even have the chance to react. Ling Xiao's attack was not something an ordinary martial artist in the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm could withstand after transforming into the Hell Universal Light Tiger and executing an Emperor-class martial skill. The opponent was killed in one strike. In fact, the opponent didn't underestimate him. He was just helpless because he was tricked by Ling Xiao. Coupled with the difference in strength, he could only accept his death. Damn it! At this moment, the other martial artist in the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm had already attacked from behind. However, there was still a distance of more than 10 meters between them. Seeing that his companion was killed, he actually turned around and wanted to escape. Ling Xiao sneered. Could he escape? Since the opponent wanted to kill him, he wouldn't show any mercy. These people wanted to die. He would let them have their wish. He took out the Xuanji Bao and pulled the bowstring. A terrifying black light shot out from the Xuanji Bao. The opponent had already lost the will to fight. He only wanted to escape. He didn't have any intention to attack. To Ling Xiao, this was a godsend opportunity. Swoosh! Swoosh! The terrifying black arrow pierced through the opponent's head from behind. The man fell forward and couldn't stand up anymore. The distance between the two was less than 50 meters. The power of the arrow could reach the destructive power of a Pete-grade king martial skill. Even in the Purple Mansion Army, it was difficult for a sergeant to master a Pete-grade Emperor martial skill. Even if they mastered it, they could only execute it a few times. Therefore, Pete-grade king martial skills were the most important in a battle. When facing a martial skill of this level, they could only wait for death if they gave up on defense. How could a human's speed be faster than an arrow? Damn brat, I didn't expect your strength to improve so quickly. If I can't kill you now, I won't have another chance. Don't even think about escaping from me today. The martial artist at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm finally shattered the 3 true origin arrows that Ling Xiao released. He pounced over, his aura locking down all the possible escape routes for Ling Xiao. You must be Tang Chu Nunnery, Ling Xiao suddenly said. After a moment of silence, the man took off his mask. That's right, this old man is Tang Chu Nunnery. Last time, you injured me because I underestimated you. Today, I won't underestimate you again. It seemed that he was determined to kill Ling Xiao here, which was why he revealed his identity. How should I put it? Actually, I wanted to kill you the last time, but your life was saved by that old bastard Qing Qian. Let's see who can save you today. Ling Xiao sneered. The other party wanted to kill him, and he also wanted to kill the other party. In today's battle, if you don't die, then I will. You don't plan to escape? Tang Chu Nunnery was stunned for a moment. He was sure that if he didn't underestimate his opponent the last time, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Moreover, Ling Xiao had the fire dragon mark to sneak attack him. He wouldn't have been injured. Logically speaking, his strength was much stronger than Ling Xiao's. Otherwise, Ling Xiao wouldn't have chosen to kill the 2 martial artists at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm that he brought. Ling Xiao looked at Tang Chu Nunnery with a smile and said, "Let me tell you the truth. Recently, I obtained a good item and was thinking of using someone to test its prowess. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. Just nice. Let's settle the old and new grudges together. I believe that even if I kill you in this place, no one will know. I have to thank you for giving me such a good opportunity." This was the truth. If Ling Xiao wanted to make a move in the Purple Mansion army, he would definitely attract trouble. However, this place was in the middle of nowhere. After killing them, he would directly destroy the corpses. No one would be able to find out. After all, there were many demonic beasts here. Who would be able to find evidence that he killed these people? Of course, his current strength was still inferior to Tang Chu nunnery. However, without anyone to disturb him, Ling Xiao didn't need to hide anymore. No matter if it was the wrath of the Black Soul or the tyrannical Sky Martial Soul, he could use both. In this way, he would have a great chance to kill the other party. What shameless boasting! Hand over your divine, Great Darch artifact now, and I can still leave you a complete corpse. Otherwise, I will tear your corpse into pieces and feed it to the dogs. Although Tang Chu nunnery was a little worried, he was an 8th level divine vein realm martial artist, after all. He wouldn't be scared by Ling Xiao's words. This time he made a move for 2 reasons. Firstly, it was for revenge. Secondly, it was for the Ice Age in Ling Xiao's hands. He had been coveting this item for a long time. Ling Xiao sneered and didn't answer. Instead, he instantly entered the unbounded heavenly rat beast soul transformation. Although the unbounded heavenly rat beast soul transformation wasn't as powerful as before, due to the awakening of the sun god bloodline, it was still much more powerful than other beast souls. Even the Hell Universal Tiger beast soul transformation was inferior to it. Therefore, this was Ling Xiao's most powerful beast soul transformation. At the same time, he released his innate 30% divine demon sword soul. The sudden increase in strength made Tang Chu nunnery frown slightly. You really have a lot of secrets. However, they are meaningless in front of me. Tang Chu nunnery released his aura from the beginning. Not only did he block Ling Xiao's escape route, but he also blocked his aura. He also suppressed Ling Xiao's aura. He didn't want to be injured again because he underestimated his opponent. He might even lose his life. He didn't use his weapon the last time. However, this time he even took out the immortal grade Darch artifact, tempered steel saber. It wouldn't be easy for Ling Xiao to take advantage of him. Kill! Ling Xiao's feet suddenly trembled. He turned into a golden light and charged at Tang Chu nunnery. He now had the Yin-Yang Universal Tiger Beast Soul. He had to make full use of his advantage in speed. His body shot toward the nunnery of Tang Chu like an arrow released from the bowstring. He was ready to take the initiative to attack. How dare you take the initiative to attack? Cobweb Talisman. Tang Chu nunnery sneered and suddenly took out a talisman. At that moment, the surrounding space was shrouded in dense cobwebs. Ling Xiao was like a mosquito. He was stuck and bound. Tang Chu nunnery could move freely on the cobwebs. Do you think I will be as careless as last time? No way. In order to kill you, I took out all my treasures. Today you must die. Tang Chu nunnery was actually a little afraid of Ling Xiao. Therefore, even though the 3 of them came out together, he still brought all his treasures with him. The truth was just as he expected. The 2 helpers at the 7th level of the Divine Pulse realm were of no help at all. They were killed at the beginning. In the end, he had to rely on himself. These treasures could finally be used today. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Ling Xiao. Chapter 36:20. Ha ha ha, let's see how you can escape now. Tang Chu Yuan, who used the spider web talisman, laughed wildly, because Ling Xiao was bound by the spider web and couldn't move at all. Next, it was time for him to deal with this kid. But even so, this guy was still very cautious. He activated his vital essence and activated the purple spirit armor. Tang Chu Yuan's purple spirit armor was obviously more advanced than Ling Xiao's. The inscriptions on it were much more complicated, and the formation was more exquisite. It was estimated that the enhancement was much stronger than Ling Xiao's purple spirit armor, but there was no way to know exactly how much. Last time, Tang Chu Yuan didn't even use the purple spirit armor to deal with Ling Xiao because he didn't think it was necessary. Look at how scared you are. Your cultivation is much stronger than mine, and you have better treasures than me. but you don't dare to attack directly. Useless trash. Ling Xiao mocked. You don't have to mock me. I won't be fooled. No matter what, I won't lose my mind today. Absolutely not. Tang Chu Yuan learned from his mistakes. As expected, he was a cunning old fox and harder to deal with than his son. Ling Xiao didn't say anything more. Tang Chu Yuan didn't talk nonsense and attacked directly. It was still the ninefold demonic slash. Obviously, under the enhancement of the purple spirit armor, the power was much stronger than last time. Strange fire, burn. Facing Tang Chu Yuan's attack, Ling Xiao suddenly released a terrifying flame from his body and quickly spread out along the spider web. Tang Chu Yuan was very surprised by this scene. The spider web was originally used to bind Ling Xiao, but now it became a fire web and stopped him. If Tang Chu Yuan attacked directly at this time, he could definitely hurt Ling Xiao. But he didn't, because he became more cautious and didn't want to take risks. He directly retreated from the fire web. His face didn't look good. I didn't expect you to have this kind of ability. I underestimated you. Tang Chu Yuan found that every time he fought with Ling Xiao, he would find something new. Ling Xiao had never used this heavenly flame before, but today it just so happened to be of great use. That's not the only thing that surprised you. Ling Xiao sneered and attacked with his black and white swords. The descent of gods and devils. Because his opponent was more cautious, Ling Xiao did not use his strongest move. Otherwise, if it was broken, it would really be very painful. The more powerful a martial technique was, the longer the cooldown time when used by a martial artist with a lower cultivation. For example, Ling Xiao would have to wait 5 to 6 minutes before he could use the second form of the 9 transformation technique of the godly demon. Therefore, he would usually choose to use it at critical times. On the other hand, the first type only needed 1 minute to cool down. Combined with the 6 swords as one and the 7 swords as one, he would be able to continuously use royal-grade martial skills. Of course, any martial technique's cooldown time would decrease as one's cultivation increased. The so-called cooling down was the body's adaptation. If one's martial arts technique was too powerful compared to one's cultivation, using it once would consume a lot of energy, and one would need to spend a certain amount of time to recover. Only after that could he use it again. This was the so-called cooling down time. However, the power of the descent of gods and devils was obviously not enough to hurt Tang Chu Nunnery. Tang Chu Nunnery sneered and waved the well-tempered steel saber in his hand. It was only a Peak King grade martial skill, but it had weakened the power of the descent of gods and devils by nearly 70%. The remaining 70% was completely absorbed by the purple spirit armor. As expected, I don't have much confidence in winning against a martial artist at the 8th tier of the Divine Vein realm if I fight seriously. But this is just the beginning. Ling Xiao smiled. The reason why he did not run away and chose to fight with Tang Chu Nunnery was that he hoped to improve his cultivation during the battle. Of course, he also wanted to take this opportunity to get rid of Tang Chu Nunnery. Otherwise, this guy would definitely haunt him in the future. 9-fold Devil Slash. After Tang Chu Nunnery blocked Ling Xiao's attack, he did not stop because he used a Peak King grade martial skill to block it. Therefore, he used an royal grade martial skill. The terrifying 9-fold saber Qi rushed toward him. Ling Xiao hurriedly released the 7-9 supremacy swords and used the 7 swords as one. They bombarded the 9-fold Devil Slash. In terms of martial skill level, his 7 swords as one was stronger, but in terms of cultivation, he was still too weak. In addition, his opponent had a better purple spirit armor than him. Therefore, he suffered a great loss in this attack. His body retreated dozens of steps, and he actually crashed into a tree and broke it. This tree was as thick as an arm. Otherwise, he would not have been able to break it. Bah! Ling Xiao spat a mouthful of bloody saliva and quickly used the body of cosmic light. He turned into a ray of white light and dodged Tang Chu Nunnery's pursuit. Looks like that's all you've got, right? Although I have indeed underestimated you, you still have your limits. and now I have seen your limit. So, you will be buried with my 2 subordinates. You can only blame yourself for being too arrogant. You should not have offended my illegitimate son, Tang Bing. Tang Chu Nunnery said arrogantly as he chased after Ling Xiao. After gaining an obvious advantage, he finally began to smile. He was not as nervous and serious as before. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Today, I will not only kill you, I'll definitely kill that bastard son of yours as well. Whoever kills me, I will return the favor tenfold. Ling Xiao roared and stopped dodging. Instead, he attacked Tang Chu Nunnery again. He dodged just now to recover his injured body. He had to be in peak condition at all times when fighting with his opponent. Otherwise, it would become more and more troublesome. The second move of the 9 transformation technique of Celestial Demon. First appearance of Divine Light, Demonic Shadow Attack. Kill. A violent attack bloomed from the black and white swords. The combination of Celestial and Demon caused some turbulence in the stable space of the 4 major regions. At that moment, Tang Chu Nunnery frowned. Ling Xiao's sudden burst of power made him feel a great sense of crisis. This kind of crisis made him very wary. Therefore, he had to use another set of Emperor-level martial skill that he had been hiding. Purple Spirit, Divine Shield. It was also a first-level Emperor-level martial skill. However, the Purple Spirit Divine Shield was a purely defensive martial skill. The terrifying true essence quickly condensed into a purple shield in front of him. Ling Xiao's attack directly hit the Purple Spirit Divine Shield. After a long stalemate, the shield was shattered. However, Ling Xiao's attack also disappeared at the same time. It became powerless. It was completely absorbed by the Purple Spirit armor. Boom! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tang Chu Nunnery slashed out with his saber and heavily bombarded Ling Xiao's body. He used the 9-fold demonic slash. With Tang Chu Nunnery's cultivation, the cooldown time of the 9-fold demonic slash was estimated to be less than a minute. Naturally, he could use it now. Ling Xiao had just finished his attack. It could be said that he was wide open. However, he did not choose to dodge. Instead, he directly pounced on Tang Chu Nunnery. On the contrary, Tang Chu Nunnery's expression changed drastically. He did not know what Ling Xiao was going to do. There must be something fishy about this suicidal action. Chapter 36:21. Rumble. Terrifying saber qi bombarded Ling Xiao's body one after another. Ling Xiao's body glowed with a yellow light. Purple spirit armor, Peak King level black tortoise divine body, and the shape-shifting divine weapon with the strongest defense. Ling Xiao was trying his best to make sure his opponent couldn't kill him. His 2 hands had firmly grasped Tang Chu Nunnery. He trapped Tang Chu Nunnery like a koala bear. Let go of me. Tang Chu Nunnery knew the situation was not good. Since Ling Xiao dared to do this, he must have a purpose. This kid wasn't the kind of person who would randomly attack. Just as he was thinking about this, he suddenly realized that behind Ling Xiao, a huge tiger had suddenly appeared. The tiger was shining with golden light. However, he was wearing a black armor. The armor exuded a cold, murderous aura. It looked down at him condescendingly. What the hell? Tang Chu Nunnery roared, trying to break free from Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, it was too late. Wrath of Black Soul. Ling Xiao spat out these cold words. The terrifying Yin-Yang Universal Tiger pounced on Tang Chu Nunnery. It directly penetrated Tang Chu Nunnery's body. At that moment, Tang Chu Nunnery screamed in horror. A huge black hole appeared on his body. Even his internal organs were completely corroded. In the end, Tang Chu Nunnery didn't even know what had happened. She died under Ling Xiao's terrifying attack in a daze. I feel that my cultivation is about to break through, but it's still a little short. After killing Tang Chu Nunnery, Ling Xiao could feel that the energy in his cultivation had been increased to 100%. There was even a gap in the door of the breakthrough. He was only one step away from the 5th level of the Divine Pulse realm, but he didn't break through. Fortunately, the battle was over. He even won without using the power of the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. The Wrath of Black Soul was really terrifying. It was a real injury. Any defense of Tang Chu nunnery was meaningless. Basically, martial artists below the 8th level of the Divine Pulse realm would be killed by the Wrath of Black Soul. Even a martial artist at the 9th level of the Divine Vein realm would probably be injured. The Divine Core warriors didn't know. After all, there was a huge gap between their cultivation levels, and Ling Xiao didn't know either. Ling Xiao removed the masks of the other two and discovered that one of them was actually Lei Bao. In the end, this brat was still killed by him, but he deserved it. He collected the storage rings of the 3 people. Lei Bao and the martial artist at the 7th level of the Divine Vein realm only had some high-grade spirit stones in their storage rings. However, there were many good things in Tangchu Nunnery's storage ring. In addition to nearly 50,000 upper-grade spirit stones, there were also the cultivation methods of the 9-fold demonic slash and purple soul divine shield. He didn't really care about the 9-fold demonic slash. It was even weaker than his 9 revolutions Godfiend art. However, the purple soul divine shield was a bit interesting. Defensive martial skills were rare, and this was an emperor-level defensive martial skill. It was definitely useful. In addition to these 2 sets of martial skills, this guy also had 2 very good demon beast cores in his storage ring. One of them was something Ling Xiao could use. It was a demon beast core from the Hell Rabbit, and it was a complete demon beast core. A Hell Rabbit could reach the 8th level of the Divine Core realm. As for this demon beast core, it was from the 7th level of the Divine Core realm. It definitely wasn't obtained by Tangchu Nunnery himself. Either he bought it, or someone gave it to him as a gift. Looks like there really was someone at the top of Tangchu Nunnery. No wonder Fong Ming couldn't punish him. The Hell Rabbit's demon beast core could be used to fuse with the Shadow Rabbit's beast soul. After the fusion, the Hell Shadow Rabbit would probably have one more skill. Moreover, the power of the second skill would generally be much greater than the first. As for the demon beast core, it couldn't be used to improve the beast soul, but it could be used to concoct pills. After looking around and making sure there was no one around, Jiang Qin set the 3 bodies on fire and burned them to ashes. Even if someone knew that these 3 men were here to kill him, they wouldn't be able to find any evidence to prove that he was the one who killed them. Jiang Qin wasn't in a hurry to deliver the letter, because he was wounded and it would be easy to find out. Therefore, he simply found a secluded cave. While healing his wounds, he fused the Hell Rabbit's demon beast core with the Shadow Rabbit's beast soul. The entire process took him an hour. After spending nearly 20,000 upper rank soul stones, he finally succeeded. Although he earned a lot of upper rank soul stones, he also spent a lot of them. There was nothing he could do about it. After the fusion, the Shadow Rabbit's beast soul had evolved into the Hell Shadow Rabbit's beast soul. Its cultivation level was now at the 8th level of the Divine Core realm. Jiang Qin had indeed obtained a second powerful skill, Hell Shadow Strike. Compared to the Wrath of the Dark Souls, the Hell Shadow Strike was much more powerful, and it could be used in the form of a Shadow Warrior. It was a great weapon for sneak attacks. Although it was slightly weaker than the Wrath of the Dark Souls, the key was that it could hide well. This was a great advantage. Besides that, after fusing with the Hell Shadow Rabbit's beast soul, Ling Xiao's cultivation level had finally broken through. He had broken through from the 4th level of the Divine Vein realm to the 5th level. This was another huge improvement. If his cultivation level was at the 5th level of the Divine Vein realm, Ling Xiao wouldn't have had to risk his life to kill Tangchu Nunnery. In that final attack, he was practically gambling with his own life. Cultivation, level breakthrough, beast soul advancement. He even obtained a martial technique like the Purple Spirit Divine Shield. He didn't know where Tangchu Nunnery got this martial technique, but it was definitely useful. Today he had gained quite a lot. He had to thank those 3 fools for sending themselves to their deaths. After his injuries were healed, he released the Warhorse of Terror again and headed towards the checkpoint. Along the way, He didn't encounter much danger. He just encountered some demonic beasts. But now that he had made a breakthrough in his cultivation, it was nothing. With the abstruse bow in hand, he didn't even stop to rest. He rushed all the way to the checkpoint, delivered the letter, got the reply, and returned to Chaoyang City. When Ching Qian saw that Ling Xiao had returned alive, his shocked expression was hilarious. "Did you encounter any danger along the way?" Ching Qian couldn't help but ask. He knew that Tangchu Nunnery had brought 2 people to kill Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao had returned safely. But there was no news of those 3 people. Something must have gone wrong. "Of course I did. I met 3 ignorant fools and killed them with a wave of my hand." Ling Xiao sneered. He could see the awkward smile on Cheng Qian's face and the incredulous look in his eyes. "Chiliarch, is there anything else?" Ling Xiao asked. "No, you can go first." Cheng Qian still couldn't believe that the 3 of them had been killed. But did Ling Xiao have the strength to do that? He planned to send someone to investigate along the way. As for Ling Xiao, as long as he was still in the Z Mansion army, he was not afraid that he couldn't find a way to deal with him. But before that, he had to figure out what had happened. After saying goodbye, Ling Xiao went straight to the Blood Evil camp. He wanted to see how Zilong was doing. If Zilong had comprehended the way to cultivate and use evil spirit, then he could go to the bloody battlefield. This time his cultivation level breakthrough and the advancement of his beast souls made him look forward to going to the bloody battlefield. If he could upgrade all his beast souls, that would be awesome. Chapter 36:22. You're back? Let me tell you a piece of good news. Seeing Ling Xiao return, Zilong said excitedly, "Have you already comprehended the cultivation method of killing qi?" Ling Xiao asked with a smile. "Yeah, how did you know?" Zilong was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "I don't care, I've surpassed His Majesty. This is a new record. How are you? Have you gotten the hang of it?" "I can't. It's been less than 2 months. I haven't figured anything out yet." Ling Xiao shook his head. "I can help you. Why don't I take you to the bloody battlefield? It said that it's faster to figure out the cultivation method of evil qi there than outside. With my help, you should be able to figure it out as soon as possible." Zilong was really a good kid. He couldn't be picky about this. He obviously had a high status, but he didn't put on any airs. It was rare. The rich young masters that Ling Xiao had met in the past were all arrogant and haughty. It was as if their noses were in the air. "Okay, but there's something I might need your help with," Ling Xiao suddenly said. "What are you talking about? Just tell me what it is." "You're my savior," Zilong said. "It's like this. I went out to deliver a letter this time, but I was ambushed. However, these 3 people were killed by demonic beasts. If the Z Mansion army investigates, you have to help me." Ling Xiao was also prepared for a second chance, because he felt that the Z Mansion army might not reason with him and talk about evidence. If someone insisted on putting the blame on him, Zilong would be very useful. "Who was killed?" Zilong asked curiously. "A centurion and 2 corporals," Ling Xiao answered. "Is the centurion Tang Chu Nunnery?" Zilong asked in surprise. "That's him. The other corporal is called Lei Bao. I don't know the name of the other one. Why did they want to kill me? I think you know. I can only say that my luck was better and I managed to escape." Ling Xiao still couldn't completely trust Zilong. After all, his current strength was limited. It was better not to be too honest about some things. Don't tell me you killed those 3 fellows yourself?" Zilong suddenly lowered his voice and laughed. "I've always thought that you're very mysterious. He was actually able to save me from a 2nd-level divine core warrior. Your strength can't possibly be as simple as it seems." "What if it really is?" Ling Xiao asked. "If that's the case, I'll help you too. Anyway, I'm not close to the Z Mansion army, and you're my savior. If I don't help you, who should I help? Besides, I don't like that Tangchu Nunnery, and that Lei Bao's reputation is also extremely bad. Their deaths are actually a good thing." Zilong smiled. "Thank you very much." Ling Xiao didn't admit or deny it. what Zilong thought was his business. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. Just how strong are you? Can't you tell me? Zilong was really curious about this. I'm really a 4th level Divine Vein Warrior. No, I should be a 5th level Divine Vein Warrior now. I just went out to deliver the letter, and I broke through again. Ling Xiao told him the truth. No, I don't believe you. I think your strength has reached the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. You're just 1 step away from the Divine Vein Realm. But I'm sure you're not a Divine Core Warrior. Because a Divine Core Warrior's body has formed a Divine Core, it feels completely different from a Divine Vein Warrior. Zilong analyzed. If you say so, then so be it. But I'm curious, what's the difference between a Divine Core Warrior and a Divine Vein Warrior? What's the strength of a Divine Core Warrior? Ling Xiao still didn't say anything. He didn't admit or deny it. The Divine Core Realm, it's not something that can be explained with just a few sentences. How should I put this? When a Divine Core Warrior has a Divine Core, he can hide his soul and blood essence within it. As long as the Divine Core is not destroyed, it's hard for him to die. Therefore, when you break through to the Divine Core Realm, if you want to kill someone, you have to destroy his Divine Core. Even if you chop off his head or slit his throat, it's still useless. Zilong explained, besides, the quality of a Divine Core Warrior's true yuan is obviously much higher. It's extremely difficult to break through to the next level. I've heard this from my sister before. Actually, from the 1st Revolution Martial Vein Realm to the 1st Revolution Divine Vein Realm. When compared to the Divine Core Realm, it's not a problem to count them as one stage. The difficulty of breaking through to the next level in the Divine Core Realm is extremely high, and it takes a long time to break through to the next level. Many people only took a dozen years to break through from the 1st Revolution Martial Vein Realm to the 1st Revolution Divine Vein Realm. But for the Divine Core Realm, it might take a dozen years to break through to the next level. You'll know the details when you break through to the Divine Core Realm. Don't be fooled by the speed of your cultivation, but when you break through to the Divine Core Realm, you'll know how difficult it is to break through to the next level. Sai, it only took me 10 years to break through from the 1st Revolution Martial Vein Realm to the 1st Revolution Divine Vein Realm. I can be considered as a peerless genius, but I'm 16 years old now, and I've been stuck at the 1st stage of the Divine Core Realm for 6 years. It's simply torture, but it's not that bad because after forming a Divine Core, a warrior's lifespan will be greatly increased. Normally, a warrior can live for a few hundred years, so I don't have to worry about dying too early. After hearing what Zilong said, Ling Xiao was stunned. He had never met a Divine Core Warrior before, so he thought the Divine Core Realm was the same as the Divine Vein Realm. But after hearing what Zilong said, it seemed like the difference between the Divine Vein Realm and the Divine Core Realm was a qualitative leap. Not only the difference in strength, even the difficulty of cultivation was a qualitative leap. What's your sister's cultivation level? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. He needed a reference. Zichinya's talent should be stronger than Zilong's. My sister's actual cultivation level is the 5th level of the Divine Core Realm. Zilong answered, from the 1st level of the Divine Core Realm to the 5th level. My sister spent nearly 100 years to break through to the 5th level. She can be considered a peerless genius, because every time she breaks through to the next level, the difficulty will increase, and the time required will increase as well. Luckily, her lifespan will increase as well. If not, it would be really troublesome. Although my sister looks young, she's actually more than 100 years older than me. But for a warrior, a difference of 100 or 200 years is nothing. Hearing Zilong's words, Ling Xiao couldn't help but be somewhat stunned. According to what Zilong said, if he wanted to meet the Moon Lady, it would take more than 1 or 2 years. It might even take more than 10 years. It would take at least 100 years. But that was the normal situation. Ling Xiao had traveled from the Heavenly Dragon Continent to the Black Tortoise Continent, and his cultivation speed was much faster than ordinary people. Anyone who heard this would be shocked. After all, Zilong and Zichinya were just cultivation geniuses from the Z Kingdom. Perhaps the geniuses from the Eastern Victory Kingdom were stronger than them, and the geniuses from the Golden Heavenly Kingdom were even stronger. Therefore, Jiang Qin didn't need to belittle himself. The cultivation time of others could only be used as a reference. It couldn't be taken seriously. Chapter 36:23. Ling Xiao was discussing with Zilong about the divine core realm. Cheng Qian brought a few centurions to the blood fiend camp. Ling Xiao knew that Cheng Qian must have sent someone to investigate, and he must have confirmed the deaths of Tangchu Nunnery and the others. Therefore, he must have suspected him. But so what? Even if he was a chiliarch, he couldn't just fabricate a crime. He wanted to see what Cheng Qian was going to do. Besides, fighting was strictly forbidden in the blood fiend camp, unless Cheng Qian didn't want his future. If not, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Besides, Ling Xiao was now riding on Zilong's coattails. Cheng Qian couldn't do anything to him. Cheng Qian was only a 9th-level divine vein warrior, but Zilong was a 1st-level divine core warrior. The gap between them was huge. As long as Cheng Qian was still sane, he wouldn't dare to fight here. Indeed, he saw Ling Xiao and Zilong together. Cheng Qian's expression suddenly changed. "Corporal Ling Xiao, come with me right now." Since he couldn't fight here, he had to use his authority as a chiliarch. After saying that, he didn't wait for Ling Xiao's reply, he simply walked out. This was where he was smart. If Ling Xiao didn't agree, he would be violating the military order. At that time, he would have more ways to deal with Ling Xiao. After hesitating for a moment, Ling Xiao decided to follow them. If not, all his hard work would be wasted. If worst came to worst, he would just run back to the blood fiend camp. But what he didn't expect was that Zilong would follow them. Cheng Qian could order him around, but he couldn't order Zilong around. If Zilong wanted to follow, he would follow. Cheng Qian couldn't do anything about it. "You didn't have to do this." Ling Xiao was touched. "Bullshit, aren't we brothers? Also, do you really think I'm stupid? The reason why I'm able to comprehend the murderous energy is because of you, right?" Zilong lowered his voice and said, "You already know." Ling Xiao was surprised. "I'm a divine core warrior. My senses are much more sensitive than those divine vein warriors. Not only do I know that you helped me, but I also know that you completed your comprehension in 20 days. It's just that you didn't want to expose yourself, so I didn't expose you," Zilong said bluntly. The reason why he said this was because he didn't want Ling Xiao to misunderstand that he had other intentions. "I'm telling you all this because I want to tell you that I helped you because you helped me. You don't have to be surprised. In short, as long as I, Zilong, am here, Cheng Qian can forget about hurting you," Zilong said seriously. His words made Ling Xiao think of his brothers and sisters. The 3 of them were taken to the savage beast region. He didn't know how they were doing. There was also Ling Jiaojiao, who had been brought to the Golden Sky region early in the morning. He did not know how she was doing. These people were all his friends and family who could go through life and death with him. He didn't expect to make another friend today. He was actually quite lucky. Seeing Zilong and Ling Xiao appear together, Cheng Qian's brows furrowed into a knot. He originally wanted to cut the Gordian knot and kill Ling Xiao on the charge of murdering a centurion. Kill first and report later. But now he realized that it didn't seem possible. With Zilong around, he didn't have the chance to kill Ling Xiao at all. He really didn't understand. How did Ling Xiao, a nobody from the city of Raging Fire, get together with the king's brother? "Sir Chiliarch, I'm still cultivating. What important matter do you have that you have to call me out?" Ling Xiao asked directly after leaving the blood fiend camp. "You killed Centurion Tang Chuan, right?" Cheng Qian looked at Ling Xiao and asked coldly. The powerful aura belonging to a 9th-level divine vein expert rushed over like a gust of wind, wanting to blow Ling Xiao away. However, martial artists within the divine vein realm wanted to use their aura to suppress him. It was simply a fool's dream. With a sneer on his face, he looked at Chang Qian and said, "Chiliarch, you really know how to joke. I'm just a 5th-level divine vein realm warrior. I just broke through recently. With my strength, how could I possibly kill a centurion who was only at the 8th-level divine vein realm? If you can find someone who can do it, you can ask such a ridiculous question later." Facing Chang Qian, he didn't feel any fear. After all, it would be very difficult for Chang Qian to kill him. "Chang Qian, is this the man you said killed Chuan Chuan? Are you toying with this old man?" Suddenly, a frightening aura rushed towards them. An old man with a white beard appeared in front of them. If Chang Qian's aura was like a gust of wind, then this man's aura was like a terrifying typhoon. A terrifying typhoon that could blow Chang Qian away. A divine core warrior. Ling Xiao was sure that this old man was a divine core warrior. "Teacher, apart from him, there are no other suspects." Chang Qian looked at the man with fear. His cultivation is only at the 5th-level divine vein realm. How could Chuan Chuan lose to a trash like this? If that's the case, all my years of teaching him were in vain. Although his talent isn't as good as yours, with his 8th-level divine vein realm cultivation, how could he lose to someone like this? Let's go back and investigate again. The old man coldly harumphed. Then he turned around and left. He left as quickly as he came. Chang Qian's expression was unsightly. He stared at Ling Xiao for some time, then said, "Young man, although I don't know how you killed Tang Chuan Chuan, I'm sure you're right. But I'm sure you did it. That man just now was Tang Chuan Chuan's father, Captain Tang Yi. He's in existence on the same level as Fang Ming. He's even stronger than Fang Ming. If I can find even the slightest clue, you'll be dead. Let's go." After saying that, Chang Qian brought his men and left. The reason why he was so sure that it was Ling Xiao who killed Tang Chuan Chuan was because he knew Ling Xiao was someone who could fight those who were at a higher level than him. Besides, he had some treasures with him. More importantly, Ling Xiao had severely injured Tang Chuan Chuan the last time and almost killed him. He decided to sort out all this information and report it to Captain Tang Yi. He believed that Tang Yi would understand. By then, Ling Xiao would be dead for sure. Therefore, there was no need to be conflicted because his strength wasn't as good as Zilong's. He couldn't kill Ling Xiao in front of Zilong. "Ling Xiao, since you and I have mastered the fiendish aura, why don't we enter the bloody battlefield now?" After entering the bloody battlefield, the place is huge, and you don't have to listen to military orders. Even if Tang Yi wants to kill you, he won't be able to. Besides, if you go in with me, no one will suspect you. I'll just feel that I'm protecting you. After Chang Qian left, Zilong suddenly said, "And it's time to go in. Now that everything is ready, the next step is to fight in the bloody battlefield." Ling Xiao nodded. He believed that Chang Qian would make Tang Yi suspect him very soon. As for Tang Yi as a tribunus, it was not a problem for him to deal with a corporal, although it was strictly forbidden to kill each other in the Z Mansion army. But was there a need for Tang Yi to kill? Chapter 36:24. Let's go. I'll bring you to the portal to the bloody battlefield. Zilong said, "All right." Ling Xiao didn't know much about the bloody battlefield, but he could learn more about it by following Zilong. Furthermore, when his brilliance was covered by Zilong, no one would notice his uniqueness. For him, this was the safest thing to do. The portal was quite far away. Therefore, along the way, Ling Xiao was thinking about something. If every small kingdom had a blood fiend camp, wouldn't that mean there were 30,000 skeletons of giant beasts? Also, the skeletons of giant beasts in every blood fiend camp should be different. Studying the skeletons of giant beasts was definitely more cost-effective than killing demon beasts in the bloody battlefield. Not only was it safer, the beast souls he could obtain were stronger as well. At the very least, they would be at the 7th or 8th divine core realm. If there was a chance, Jiang Chun decided to visit the blood fiend camps in other small kingdoms. But before that, he couldn't lack upper-grade soul stones. Just one fusion would cost him 20,000 upper-grade soul stones. He had fused twice and spent 40,000 upper-grade soul stones. Basically, he had spent almost all of his savings. Upper-grade soul stones were also consumed when cultivating and concocting pills. Therefore, he was really short on money right now. The bloody battlefield was a good place to make money. Not long after that, both men arrived at the portal. To their surprise, they saw a few familiar figures near the teleportation gate. One of them was the king, Ziqinya. There was also Lieutenant General Yu Qilong and Taoist Su Mingjin. Sun Sheng and the others were nowhere to be seen. Big sister, don't tell me you know I broke the record and comprehended the art of murderous energy. That's why you're here waiting for me. When Zilong saw his big sister, he immediately ran over to her. Although this guy was strong, it seemed like he was still very dependent on his big sister. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, stood to the side and waited quietly. You've also comprehended the art of murderous energy? Yu Qilong suddenly asked. No, but I want to take a look at the bloody battlefield. Perhaps I can comprehend it there. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, the reason why Zilong knew he had comprehended the art was because Jiang Qin had helped him with his murderous energy. Although Yu Qilong was much stronger than Zilong, it was still impossible for him to notice it. It was that Su Mingjin who made Ling Xiao feel uncomfortable all over. This person was too terrifying. He looked very weak, but staying by his side made her feel like she was being enveloped by a terrifying ocean. It was suffocating. You're quite brave, Yu Qilong said indifferently and ignored Ling Xiao. He focused all his attention on Purple Dragon. Breaking the king's record wasn't a small matter. In other words, Zilong's talent was even greater than that of Fu Kingdom's king. He, Yu Qilong, the lieutenant general who commanded 1,000,000 soldiers of the Zifu Mansion army, had spent a total of 3 years before he succeeded in mastering the art of baleful aura. Zilong, on the other hand, used more than 8 months, not even a year. This really made people jealous. Qianya, Zilong is still young and has never experienced real combat. I heard he was almost assassinated last time. This bloody battlefield is even more chaotic. For the sake of safety, it would be better for me to send 2 major generals to accompany him. What do you think? It wasn't a secret that Yu Qilong liked Ziqianya, but the way he kept trying to please Zilong made him seem like an ordinary man. No need, Brother Qilong. I'm going to the bloody battlefield to temper myself. If you send 2 second or third divine corps major generals to accompany me, how am I supposed to temper myself? Before Ziqianya could say anything, Zilong had already rejected the idea. Xiaolong, you should think about it. The bloody battlefield is really dangerous. Ziqianya felt that Yu Qilong's suggestion was fine. There's no need to think about it, sister. I'll always be under your protection when I'm outside. Why would I need to be protected in the bloody battlefield? Doesn't that mean I won't be able to grow up for the rest of my life? Zilong shook his head and said, Since Xiaolong doesn't like it, there's no need to force yourself. All the mighty warriors in the Zifu kingdom have come from the bloody battlefield. With Zilong's talent, what are you worried about? Su Mingjin said with a smile, Although I hate you, Taoist, I'm very satisfied with what you've just said. Zilong turned to Su Mingjin and said, Immeasurable sovereign, it's rare for Xiaolong to be so polite to me. How about this? I have a ground escape talisman. I'll give it to you as a gift. When you're inside, if you run into any problems you can't solve, just use it and you'll be able to escape from the danger. Su Mingjin took out a talisman and said with a smile, Taoist, this gift is too precious. Ziqianya hastily rejected it, but Zilong had already grabbed it and said, This talisman is equivalent to a divine emperor weapon. Also, look at the inscriptions on it. I think it can be used 3 times, right? We don't have anything like this in our small Ziling kingdom. I'll take it then. Looking at the talisman in Zilong's hand, Ling Xiao couldn't help but furrow his brows. He was too familiar with formations That's why when the talisman flashed, it made him feel worried. But he couldn't tell what exactly it was. Maybe it's just an illusion. Su Mingjin has no reason to harm Zilong. Ling Xiao shook his head. He felt like he was thinking too much. Since Taoist, Su has given you a gift. I can't reject it. Zilong, don't you like to fight with a spear? I'll give you a divine emperor weapon spear. Yu Qilong had already prepared a gift. But it was a pity that Su Mingjin had taken the initiative and sent the gift out first. Although it was a pity, he couldn't reject it. Thank you, Brother Qilong. Zilong didn't hold back at all. He directly took it and put it into his storage ring. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's hurry to the meeting. We're running out of time. In fact, Ziqinya and the others weren't here to see Zilong off. It was just a coincidence. They waited here for a while. Now that they'd given all the gifts and said their goodbyes, it was time to get down to business. Zilong, after entering the blood battlefield, don't try to show off. If you can't solve something, try to give up. In this world, there are no cultivators who can win all the time. Retreat doesn't mean you're cowardly, it's just to survive, understand? Before she left, Ziqinya gave Zilong a medicinal pill and said a few words to him in a sincere and heartfelt manner. After that, he stepped into the portal with the other few men. Perhaps they were going to the blood battlefield as well, but they were of different levels. Therefore, the places they were going to were different. Looking at the few divine core warriors, leaving Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. In terms of cultivation base, the gap between him and them was still too big. Fearing the strong didn't mean he was cowardly. On the contrary, only by fearing the strong could he go further. Let's not talk about those three guys. Even if they were captains like Tang Yi, it would be easy for them to kill him. Unless he could use the life rewind and pretend to be dead, there was no way he could survive. Chapter 36:25. Facing so many powerful divine core warriors, Ling Xiao felt that he was still too weak. He had to become stronger. He had to keep getting stronger. It would be best if he could break through to the divine core realm in the bloody battlefield. If not, it would be meaningless even if he managed to escape. The gap between the divine core realm and the divine vein realm was huge. Even for him, it was almost impossible for him to challenge a divine core warrior when he was only at the 9th level of the divine vein realm. Therefore, he had to break through to the divine core realm. Only then would he be able to avoid being killed by Tang Yi. He was only at the 5th level of the divine vein realm, but he believed that with his special cultivation method, he would be able to break through to the divine vein realm. It wouldn't take him long to break through to the divine core realm. What are you thinking about, Ling Xiao? Let's go. Zilong patted Ling Xiao, who was lost in his thoughts. Then he said with a smile on his face. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at Zilong. Then he said, I suddenly recalled the warrior who tried to assassinate you. He was a 2nd level divine core warrior. If you enter the bloody battlefield, even your sister won't be able to protect you. It's a very dangerous place. I still have you, don't I? Zilong said with a smile. I'm not joking. Have you found the man who tried to assassinate you? Ling Xiao asked. I haven't found him yet, but after my sister became the queen, there were always some people who didn't agree with her. Perhaps I was just implicated by them. They tried to kill me because they wanted to make my sister angry, so she wouldn't have the heart to manage the Violet Spirit Kingdom. Zilong replied, Don't be so careless. Ling Xiao reminded, That's Su Mingjin. I have a feeling that something is not right. You have to be careful. As for the talisman he gave you, try not to use it if you can. Are you suspecting that he sent someone to assassinate me? What's the reason? Zilong asked with a puzzled expression. It's because we don't know the reason. That's why it's so scary. After all, we don't know much about this man, so we have to be careful. Ling Xiao said, I won't harm you. I know, I'll listen to you. Zilong nodded his head in a serious manner. All right, let's go to the bloody battlefield. Actually, Ling Xiao did not have much attachment to this Chaoyang city. If there was anything he could not let go of, that was the barbarian bear. However, everyone had their own life. He couldn't protect others all the time. He also had to live his own life well. The two soon arrived at the entrance of the bloody battlefield. It was different from the few experts who could directly enter the portal. If they wanted to enter, they had to register first. At the entrance, there was a major and 10 Kiliarchs guarding it. This was enough to show how important this entrance was to the Z Mansion army. The entrance to the bloody battlefield was nicknamed the Bloody Gate by the Zifu army. Once they entered, it was very likely that they would not be able to come out alive. Please show your Zifu soldier waist tags. When the two of them arrived at the Bloody Gate, a captain stopped them. A Chiliarch at the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm was here to guard the door. This wasn't a rare occurrence in the Zifu army. After all, the bloody battlefield was too important to the Purple Mansion army. Only someone of this level guarding the door could make people feel at ease. Zilong showed his waist tag. When the captain saw it, he immediately knelt down on one knee. Greetings, young master Zilong. Even though the Zifu army had a very high status, they were still stationed in the small Purple Spirit Kingdom. Zilong was the king's younger brother. How could they not respect him? Stand up, can I go in now? Zilong asked. Of course. After you register, you can go in. The captain replied, All right. Zilong nodded his head. The captain took Zilong's waist tag and placed it into a groove on the stone wall nearby. After a while, Zilong's name appeared on the stone wall. The stone wall was huge, and there were many names on it. However, many of them had turned gray. Some had turned golden. Ling Xiao didn't understand what this meant. The captain explained to Zilong, Gray means you've died in there. After a while, the name will completely disappear. Gold means you've made it out alive, and your cultivation has broken through to the divine core realm. Ordinary silver means you're still inside, or you've made it out alive, but you've escaped. I see. Zilong nodded his head. After that, he turned to Ling Xiao and said, I'll go in and wait for you. All right. Zilong wasn't Ling Xiao's nanny. He couldn't follow him around all the time. After entering the blood battlefield, everything depended on one's own ability. Others won't be able to help you much. After Zilong entered the blood battlefield, Ling Xiao took out his waist tag and gave it to the captain. The captain furrowed his brows and said, 5th level Divine Vein Realm. Why are you following him? No warriors below the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm have ever come back alive after entering the blood battlefield. Basically, the death rate is 100%. Do you think you'll be an exception? He wasn't looking down on Ling Xiao, he was just telling the truth. Therefore, in recent years, warriors below the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm wouldn't take the risk and enter the blood battlefield. But Ling Xiao was only at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm, and he still wanted to enter the blood battlefield. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? Perhaps I'm an exception, Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. Although his cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm, his combat strength could reach the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He didn't believe everyone in the blood battlefield was only at the Divine Core Realm. You're really arrogant. I've seen arrogant young men like you before, but after entering the blood battlefield, I've never heard of them again. The captain looked at Ling Xiao impatiently, as if he thought Ling Xiao didn't know what was good for him. Fine, since you want to die so badly, I won't stop you. I just don't want to see a young kid like you die in the blood battlefield. That's why I said something. In principle, anyone who can join the Purple Palace Army is qualified to enter the blood battlefield. He didn't waste any more time. He took Ling Xiao's waist tag and inserted it into the groove on the wall. Immediately, Ling Xiao's name and brief introduction appeared on the groove. Although I think you don't know what's good for you, as a member of the Purple Palace Army, I still hope your name will turn golden. At the very least, your name should be silver. When the captain returned the waist tag to Ling Xiao, he let out a sigh and said, Sigh, my son was your age. He was already at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm, but not long after he entered the blood battlefield, his name turned gray. I really don't want the same for you. Thank you. I'll definitely turn my name into gold. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with determination. No matter what, he couldn't die in the blood battlefield. Hee hee, little brat, anyone can talk big, but the blood battlefield isn't something you can enter with just your mouth. Right at this moment, another captain spoke. I remember you just joined the Purple Palace Army not long ago, right? I've seen your test, and you're really talented. If you can cultivate to the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm before entering the blood battlefield, your chances of survival will be very high. But you're just courting death by doing this. That's right, little brat. You won't die even if you wait for a while. Why do you have to go and seek death? Have you learned the art of killing intent? Another man asked. Chapter 36:26. The art of infernal aura can be learned at the bloody battlefield. The speed is even faster. Ling Xiao smiled and said, Stupid. Everyone who enters will die. And you still want to comprehend the art of infernal aura? Maybe, but we still have to try. These people might be vulgar, but Ling Xiao knew that they were doing it for his own good. Therefore, he spoke more politely. Amidst these people's discussions, Ling Xiao still stepped into the teleportation portal without hesitation. Let's go. Sigh, what a pity. This kid is indeed a genius. With proper grooming, he might even become a Chiliarch in the future. That's right. I heard that he had just joined the Battle Dragon camp and defeated his own sergeant. If that's the case, this kid's combat strength should be at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. It's just that his cultivation isn't there yet. So what? If one isn't at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm, there's basically no chance of survival. The 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm also has a slim chance of survival. When one reaches the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, the survival rate will increase to 50%. However, there will still be a large number of deaths. Forget it. Let's not talk about it. That is his own choice. We can only hope that he can come back alive. Since he didn't comprehend the art of infernal aura, he will probably escape back soon. While everyone was discussing, a powerful aura suddenly appeared. Where is Ling Xiao? The person didn't give a reason and just asked directly, Captain Tang Yi, Captain Qing Qian. Everyone noticed that the person who had just arrived was none other than Captain Tang Yi. Behind him was Captain Cheng Qian. May I know why the captain is looking for him? The captain in charge of the registration asked. Do I need to tell you? Tang Yi looked at that person coldly and said, Tell me immediately. Did he enter the teleportation array? That's right. Captain Qing Qian should know about this. This person is extremely talented. If he is groomed, he might even be stronger than Captain Qing Qian. A genius? Qing Qian, follow me. Tang Yi snorted coldly and dragged Cheng Qian towards the teleportation array. Are you idiots? How dare you boast about Ling Xiao in front of Tang Yi? After Tang Yi left, a captain couldn't help but speak. Do they have a grudge? Nonsense. Tang Yi is the father of Tang Chu Nunnery Centurion. Tang Mo was his grandson. How could Major Tang Yi not know that Corporal Tang Mo was killed by Ling Xiao? Oh my God, I really don't know about this. Hee hee. There's one more thing you definitely don't know. The Centurion of Tang Chu Nunnery is dead. I don't know who killed him, but the place where he died was on the way to Ling Xiao's mission. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? However, with his strength, he shouldn't be able to kill the Centurion of Tang Chu Nunnery, right? Who knows? This brat is very mysterious. Otherwise, why would young Master Zilong have such a good relationship with him? Sigh. Then he's really finished this time. If Major Tang Yi chased after them, wouldn't that be? At this point, the speaker suddenly shut his mouth. This was because there were some things that couldn't be said carelessly in the military. Without evidence, it would be slander. However, everyone was clear that Ling Xiao probably really wouldn't be able to come back alive this time. Disregarding everything else, just Cheng Qian and Tang Yi, 2 people chasing after him. Would he still have a chance? After entering the transmission array, Ling Xiao saw a palace-like building. Surprisingly, there were 2 captains standing guard here. When they saw Ling Xiao come in, one of them said expressionlessly, "This palace is also called a refuge. It's the only safe place in the bloody battlefield. It covers an area of about 800 mu. Fighting is absolutely not allowed here. However, after going out, you can only rely on yourself. Remember, don't lose the waist tag. The Purple Mansion soldier waist tag can guide you to all the refuge in the bloody battlefield, including the refuge at other entrances." Understood. Ling Xiao listened to the major's introduction very seriously before walking out of the refuge. Suddenly, two powerful energies appeared. Ling Xiao was immediately taken aback. Turning around to look, it was actually Tang Yi and Cheng Qian. It looked like the truth had been exposed. Even if Tang Yi hadn't found any evidence, as long as he believed Ling Xiao was the one who killed Tang Chuyuan, he wouldn't let him go. Not to mention, Ling Xiao killing Tang Amo was something that many people had witnessed. Ling Xiao couldn't deny it. "Let's go." Ling Xiao didn't dare stay any longer. He quickly dashed out with his movement skill. Chase after him. Tang Yi and Cheng Qian didn't hesitate either. They immediately chased after him. When they arrived outside, they realized that they had lost track of Ling Xiao's aura. "We'll split up and search for him. I don't believe he can disappear into thin air in such a short period of time." Tang Yi unleashed his aura without hesitation. The aura of a divine core warrior was extremely frightening. Within a certain range, they would be able to detect even the slightest trace of movement, such as the rustling of leaves in the wind. Tang Yi and Cheng Qian split up and chased after Ling Xiao. In fact, Ling Xiao hadn't gone too far. Ling Xiao wasn't familiar with this damned place, and it was very dangerous to be reckless. Therefore, after he escaped from the shelter, he immediately entered the shadow dancer state. Looking at the two men splitting up, he quickly chased after Cheng Qian. Compared to Tang Yi, Cheng Qian wasn't much of a threat to him. He had broken through to the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm, and he had mastered the powerful Hell Shadow Strike skill. He could use Cheng Qian as a test subject. Didn't this old bastard want to kill him? Fine. I'll make sure you don't return alive. Cheng Qian had an aura as well, but it was far weaker than a divine core warrior's. Since Ling Xiao was in the shadow dancer state, Cheng Qian couldn't sense him at all. 10 meters, 9 meters, 3 meters, Hell's Shadow Strike. When Ling Xiao was about 3 meters away from Cheng Qian, he suddenly unleashed a terrifying attack. His body turned into a black shadow, and he instantly passed through Cheng Qian's body. Although Cheng Qian had reacted instinctively when the attack hit him, he still managed to dodge it. He managed to dodge the attack. However, there was still an extremely terrifying wound on his stomach. He was severely wounded. Bloodthirsty Plague, Death Kingdom Black Poison, Innate Sword Soul, Peerless Heavenly Rat Soul Transformation, Heavenly Tyrant Martial Soul. Strike while he's down. Ling Xiao had even unleashed his Heavenly Tyrant Martial Soul. In an instant, his powerful aura reached its peak. Wrath of the Dark Soul. The crazed Yin-Yang Universal Tiger leapt towards Cheng Qian. Everything happened too fast. Cheng Qian had no choice but to activate his powerful defense to defend himself. But he didn't expect that the Wrath of the Dark Soul could cause true damage, and it could completely ignore his defense. Once again he was hit. Hell Shadow Strike in front of him, and Wrath of the Dark Soul behind him. After being hit by these two attacks, Cheng Qian was on the verge of death. "Brad, stop!" Tang Yi's roar came from afar, but as if Ling Xiao didn't hear anything, he still used the final attack to finish off Cheng Qian. All the attacks were completed in just a few moments. Chapter 36:27. Cheng Qian's body fell to the ground. It was mixed with other corpses. There was no difference. The bloody battlefield was like this. After walking out of the refuge, you could be killed at any time. You could also die at any time. The ground under his feet was full of thick bones. When he stepped on it, it was crunchy. Cheng Qian's blood flowed into the ground through the cracks. In the distance, there was a river that originated from an underground river. According to reliable sources, the water of this river used to be very clear, but now it was bloody. It was completely filled with the smell of blood. In the bloody battlefield, there were many rivers like this. They were all called blood rivers. Some were big, some were small, some were long, and some were short. In the distance, some carnivores were spying on this side. They seemed to be very interested in Qian's body. These carnivores looked like hyenas and had different strengths. The weak ones were only at the 3rd level of the 1-star divine vein realm. The strong ones were at the 8th level of the 1-star divine vein realm. They were also called hell demon beasts because they were tainted with the aura of the underworld, just like the hell universal tiger and hell rabbit that Ling Xiao mentioned before. A person suddenly broke this cruel and desolate scene. He landed heavily in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao frowned. Although he expected Tang Yi to find him, he didn't expect it to be so fast. "I told you to stop." Tang Yi glanced coldly at Qian's body on the ground. He was now more and more convinced that Tangchu Nunnery was killed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could even kill Qian. Why couldn't Tangchu Nunnery? Why should I listen to you? You're here to kill me. Ling Xiao looked at Tang Yi. The moment he came out of the refuge, he had already thought about how to deal with this terrifying enemy. As for whether the plan would work, it would depend on the implementation process. But facing Tang Yi, he knew it was useless to be afraid. He could only make himself braver. "Good, you have guts." Tang Yi snorted and ignored Qian's body. Instead, he asked, "You killed my son, Tangchu Nunnery, right?" "Yes, I killed him." In the bloody battlefield, there was no need to deny it. Moreover, even if he denied it, Tang Yi would not believe him. "You sure are bold." Tang Yi was stunned for a moment. He did not expect Ling Xiao to answer so straightforwardly. "Since you're going to kill me whether I admit it or not, I might as well admit it." Ling Xiao smiled. "That's right, you should know how powerful a divine core warrior is, right? My strength is much greater than yours. In front of me, you have no chance." As Tang Yi spoke, he released his powerful aura. Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying aura. It was as if there was a small sun awakening in Tang Yi's body. A terrifying power was released from the small sun. It was extremely vigorous. In front of him, Ling Xiao was like a pitiful sunstrider. Although he was brave, he was still going to be burned alive by the scorching sun. However, Tang Yi's limit was probably the 1st divine core realm. Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye told him that Tang Yi's body had already deteriorated. This person's lifespan was reaching its limit. Perhaps he wouldn't be able to make any more progress in his life. An old 1st divine core warrior, although he had a lot of experience, his combat strength was definitely weaker than Zilong's. He wondered where Zilong had gone to. He had just arrived here a few moments earlier. "I don't have any chance, but the bloody battlefield is fair to both of us. In this place you can kill me, and I can also think of ways to kill you." Ling Xiao no longer placed his hope on Zilong's rescue. He had decided to deal with Tang Yi himself, although it was very difficult, or it was almost impossible. But he had to make the impossible possible. He had many trump cards that he could rely on. The only ones that could save his life were the Earth Elemental Golden Light and Life Reversal. As long as he used them well, saving his life shouldn't be a problem. Therefore, there was no need for him to be nervous. Hee, stupid kid, you have no idea how big the gap between the Divine Core Realm and the Divine Vein Realm is. Tang Yi sneered. He didn't want to waste any more time. Without hesitation, he unleashed his attack towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had used all his abilities at the first possible moment, including the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. Right at this moment, it was a battle that concerned his life and death. There was no need for him to hide anything. Boom! Terrifying lightning struck down, forming a huge protective barrier around Ling Xiao's body. It was the Minor Myriad Lightning Immortal Slaying Formation. At the same time, Ling Xiao unleashed the plague bone dissolving formation and the myriad beast blood refining formation. These were the three formations he was best at. They were perfect when used together. It had been a long time since he last used these formations because he had encountered too many enemies and they weren't worth using. Petty tricks. Facing Ling Xiao's formation, Tang Yi simply ignored it. The lightning struck his body, but it couldn't break through his defense. However, the plague bone dissolving formation and the myriad beast blood refining formation were still effective. One was constantly weakening his opponent, while the other was constantly increasing Ling Xiao's strength. Bloodthirsty plague, Death Kingdom black poison, golden silkworm, insect poison. Ling Xiao kept unleashing his strength that could weaken his opponent. Weakening his opponent a little bit was good. Even if it was just a little bit, it would still be helpful to him. He could increase his strength to the maximum and weaken his opponent to the maximum. Perhaps he could still escape from this frightening guy. Facing a divine core warrior, the Tai Chi told him that even the earth elemental golden light skill couldn't help him escape if Tang Yi wasn't injured. In other words, he had to injure Tang Yi so that he couldn't catch up with him. As for killing his opponent, that was just a dream. His actual cultivation base was too weak. He was only at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Perhaps if he reached the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, he might still have a chance. But right now, there wasn't even a chance. Dragon Talisman. 18 Hell Talisman. The Blood Soul Talisman was kept in Ling Xiao's soul realm, and he didn't want to use it. The reason was the same as the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. He didn't want to expose himself. But today, facing such a powerful enemy, he had no choice but to use it. The Dragon Talisman unleashed the powerful underworld Dragon Flame. The 18 Hell Talisman unleashed the frightening power of the 18 levels of Hell. It kept attacking Tang Yi. Tang Yi furrowed his brows, and some scratches appeared on his body. A Divine Vein Warrior is actually able to hurt me. This is a miracle. But this is the end of your journey. There is an insurmountable gap between the Divine Vein Realm and the Divine Core Realm. I'm afraid you won't be able to figure it out, even if you die. Tang Yi was still moving forward, even though he was constantly being hindered and weakened by Ling Xiao's various abilities. But the sun was still the sun, no matter how much it was weakened. It would still be extremely powerful. Only now did Ling Xiao truly understand how frightening a divine core warrior was. Thinking back, he actually dared to save Zilong from that 2nd-level divine core warrior. He was crazy. If he knew how frightening these guys were, even if he was beaten to death, he still wouldn't save Zilong. Chapter 36:28. Ling Xiao felt that in front of these divine core warriors, he was really tiny. But tiny didn't mean he had to admit defeat. Ling Xiao had the Dark Soul's wrath, and as long as he hit his target, he would definitely be able to injure Tang Yi. Tang Yi's defense was really strong. It could even nullify Ling Xiao's Emperor-level martial skill. But the Dark Soul's wrath was different. It was true damage, and it could completely ignore the defense. This was one of the reasons why Ling Xiao was so confident. But this skill had to be used at the most critical moment. Once he made a mistake, he would have to wait for more than 10 minutes to cool down, and that would be fatal. He took out the profound design bow. He circulated his energy and kept shooting arrows, although the attack was just like a mosquito biting Tang Yi's body. But if there were too many mosquito bites, it would still be fatal. Besides, Ling Xiao's arrows were wrapped in immortal flames. They would definitely be able to injure Tang Yi. This was also his second trump card. I never thought you would have such a good item with you. No wonder even Chang Qian coveted you. My son probably wanted something from you as well. That's why he was killed by you. Tang Yi kept attacking the incoming arrows, trying his best not to let them hit him, because those true essence arrows wrapped in immortal fire could even injure him. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. He just kept attacking. Meaningless struggle. Tang Yi's aura suddenly became even more ferocious. Before this, in order to guard against Ling Xiao's other tricks, he had kept some of his internal energy. He had kept his internal energy to guard against Ling Xiao. But now, he didn't want to hold back anymore. Ling Xiao had used so many trump cards. He couldn't possibly have a more powerful trump card. He was sure of that. Besides, if he didn't use his full strength, with Ling Xiao weakening him, he would be in a lot of trouble. Using his full strength, Tang Yi exploded. The terrifying strength destroyed the formation, pushed back the Dragon Talisman and 18 Hell Talismans. It even pushed all the True Origin arrows more than 10 meters away. It was as if he had turned into a ball of terrifying energy, and he charged towards Ling Xiao. Die, you ignorant brat! A heavy punch landed on Ling Xiao's body. He watched helplessly as a huge hole appeared in Ling Xiao's body. His internal organs were completely shattered in an instant. It was unknown what material the heart was made of, but it was shining with a golden light and seemed indestructible. However, this corpse was already in a mess. He was certain that Ling Xiao was definitely not alive. Thus, he bent down and grabbed the heart of gold. So that's how it is. This brat actually has such a treasure on him, the heart of gold. The cultivators of the 4 regions are all looking for it, yet it fell on this kid. At that moment, Tang Yi had retracted all of his aura. Furthermore, he had just attacked and his internal energy had not fully recovered yet. It could be said that he was at his weakest. Just as he was about to put the heart of gold into his storage ring, a voice suddenly rang out. Then, something that terrified him happened. With the golden heart as the center, Ling Xiao's body, which had been destroyed by him, was restored in a flash. Not only that, but he could also feel a terrifying power that was enough to seriously injure him. Life backtrack. Tyrant Black Soul's wrath. The yin-yang universal light tiger came from the universe. It absorbed the power of the universe and the power of Tyrant. It became extremely huge. In an instant, it pounced on the defenseless Tang Yi. No matter how strong Tang Yi's defense was, it was of no use. The true damage caused by Black Soul's wrath sent Tang Yi's body flying hundreds of meters away and then rolling on the ground. Impact. In the end, he fell under the wall of the shelter. Bright red blood flowed out from the ghastly wound on his body. At that moment, Tang Yi knew that he had fallen. He dragged his seriously injured body and frantically rushed into the shelter. Until now, he still did not understand. Ling Xiao was clearly dead, and only the heart of gold was left. But why could he still be resurrected? He did not understand. Because of this, he was ambushed and suffered true damage. No matter how strong his defense was, it became useless. But no matter what, you can't be resurrected a second time. When this old man recovers, I will kill you. Tang Yi did not admit that he had lost, even though Ling Xiao's sudden attack had caused him a great deal of damage. Ling Xiao was still able to withstand it. But as long as he swallowed the healing pill and recuperated here for half an hour, he should be able to fully recover. Old bastard, you can slowly recuperate in here. I have to go first. Just you wait, you can't kill me today. But in the future, I will definitely kill you. Ling Xiao did not plan to stay any longer. He had already used Life Rewind in front of Tang Yi once. The same method would definitely not work a second time. Tang Yi, that old fox, would definitely be fully prepared. Therefore, if he wanted to cause the same damage to Tang Yi again, he would have to break through to the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He might even be close to the Divine Core Realm. After saying that, Ling Xiao turned around and left. In order to get rid of Tang Yi's pursuit as soon as possible, he used the Earth-Crossing Golden Light skill, hoping to escape as far as possible. After all, this bloody battlefield was huge. It would not be easy for Tang Yi to catch up with him again. As he watched Ling Xiao escape, Tang Yi's injuries, which had already recovered slightly, worsened once again. His mood was extremely bad. This time, he came here with Cheng Qian to hunt down Ling Xiao. But he never expected that Cheng Qian would be killed. Even he had almost fallen for it. It looked like, although the Divine Core Realm was strong, there were still weaknesses. in front of a divine vein warrior. He was not completely invincible. Where did this young man come from? Tang, he felt like he had too many treasures with him. That strange, martial soul that could unleash the energy of the universe. That terrifying wrath of the black soul. And that strange movement skill. And that magical treasure that could bring someone back from the dead. All these things made Tang envious. I have to continue hunting him down, just in case he found something in the bloody battlefield. Once he breaks through to the divine core realm, I won't be his match. Tang, he thought to himself while recuperating. He was a cautious man, although he didn't think Ling Xiao would be able to break through to the divine core realm in less than 100 years. But he didn't want to relax. However, when he entered the bloody battlefield, he was only here to hunt down Ling Xiao. He didn't register himself, and he wasn't fully prepared. He planned to go out for a while, and once he was fully prepared, he would come back and continue hunting. He couldn't let Ling Xiao have an easy time. Half an hour later, his injuries were basically healed. When he walked back into the bloody battlefield, he found out that Cheng Qian's body had been eaten by a hell demon beast. Only his waist tag was left there. He sighed helplessly. He took the waist tag, then walked back into the shelter and teleported out. Outside the portal, everyone saw Tang coming back alone. His expression didn't look good. They were all confused. Looking at the name on the stone wall, Ling Xiao was definitely still alive. Didn't that mean Tang Yi and Cheng Qian had failed to hunt down Ling Xiao? Chapter 36:29. All the Kiliarchs who guarded the bloody gate knew that Ling Xiao was still alive, but no one knew how he managed to survive. Anyway, his name was still silver in color. As long as it didn't turn gray, it meant he was fine. Ling Xiao didn't know what they were thinking. Right now, Ling Xiao was walking aimlessly in the bloody battlefield. This place was too big. Also, there were many demon beasts here. Along the way, Ling Xiao had killed a few first-star divine vein demon beasts. But because these demon beasts were weak, he couldn't fuse them into a new beast soul. No matter how he thought about it, he still thought he would need a divine core demon beast to succeed. But he didn't have the chance to do so for now. This time I finally understood how powerful a divine core warrior is. I was only able to hurt him with the Life Rewind, Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, and Dark Soul's Wrath. If I meet him again, I'll be in trouble. I need to increase my cultivation as soon as possible. Ling Xiao knew that although the transformation of his beast soul and innate sword soul could increase his overall strength, they were only the weakest. But they were just supporting abilities. The most important thing was to increase his cultivation level. When his cultivation level increased, his foundation would become stronger, and the increase in his strength would be greater. Otherwise, 10 times the strength of an ant would only be 10 ants, but 10 times the strength of an elephant would be 10 elephants. The gap between them was simply too great. His current cultivation was only at the 5th level of the divine vein realm. If he could increase his cultivation by a few more levels, he would be able to face a first-stage divine core warrior. Then he wouldn't be so passive. After all, the advantage of having an innate sword soul was getting smaller and smaller. Although he hadn't met a warrior with an innate martial soul, Tang Yi's martial soul was at the 8th level of the Hotian realm. The gap between them was getting smaller and smaller. In the future, he would meet more warriors with higher-ranked martial souls. Without this advantage, he wouldn't be able to kill an opponent who was 4 levels higher than him. This was a real problem. He had to seize the advantage he had right now and use the power of his innate sword soul to increase his cultivation level. The first level of the divine core realm is also known as the core formation realm. This is the stage where the divine core has just formed. It is further divided into 4 small stages: early, mid, late, and perfect. The difference between the early stage and the middle stage was 10 times, which was equivalent to the difference between the first stage and the second stage. This was the situation of the divine core realm. Even if it's within the same realm, the difference in strength will still be huge. Yuan, Venerate, suddenly floated out and said, That Tang Yi is actually a first-level divine core warrior, an early core formation warrior. If he encountered a middle-stage core formation martial artist, he would be instantly killed. Your luck is pretty good. The Tang Yi you met is only at the bottom of the divine core realm. Otherwise, even if it's the wrath of the Black Soul, it might not be able to hurt others. The Yuan venerates. Words surprised Ling Xiao. He knew too little about the divine core realm. If that's the case, I'm afraid the difficulty of cultivating to the divine core realm is 100 times harder than the divine vein realm. Now that I have cultivated to the 5th level of the divine vein realm, I only spent about 3 months or so. Doesn't that mean after I break through to the divine core realm, it will take me 100 times longer to break through to the 5th divine core realm? 300 months? That's 30 years. Ling Xiao was dumbfounded. You should be content with what you have. Your cultivation speed is incredibly fast. Anyway, when I was in the 4 major domains, I've never seen anyone who could cultivate as fast as you. You have to understand a genius like Zi Long spent 10 years cultivating from the 9th level of the divine vein realm to the 1st level of the divine core realm. As for his sister, it took her 100 years to cultivate from the 1st level of the divine core realm to the 5th level of the divine core realm. You, on the other hand, only need less than 30 years, and you still aren't satisfied? Yuan Venerate said with a bitter smile, if others knew about your cultivation speed, they would have gone crazy. No, it's still too slow. I'm different from others. Zi Qinya can guard the throne for the rest of his life. As for me, I'm the man who will unify the entire mystic world. 30 years, it's still too long. Ling Xiao shook his head. He reckoned the time could be shortened. Yuan Venerate didn't calculate the effect of the pills he used. If he used them, the effect would be even better. Divine Core Realm. How are the realms categorized? Ling Xiao hadn't heard Zi Long talk about it in detail before. At that moment, Chang Lai came and interrupted their conversation. The surrounding area was still relatively safe. Now, he could ask Yuan Venerate about it. Only by understanding the situation of the divine core realm would he be able to cultivate more effectively in that direction. The divine core realm, in the end, is just a pill. In the divine core realm, the goal of all warriors is to cultivate their inner core into a divine core, and from there, increase their overall strength. Also, their survival ability. Not only can a divine core store blood essence, it can also store one's soul. It can become a warrior's second life. The 1st level of the divine core realm is the core formation realm. In fact, at the end of the divine vein realm, a water core will form within a warrior's body, looking like an egg yolk. This water core is very fragile. However, it already has the embryonic form of an inner core. The half-step divine core realm was a warrior who had a water core. After this stage, a warrior would be able to step into the true divine core realm. When a water core forms into a solid state, that's the core formation realm. After that, the inner core becomes even more indestructible, and it's called the iron core realm. After that, it's the silver core realm, and then the golden core realm. At this stage, the inner core's defensive strength is almost equivalent to the heart of gold. Furthermore, the energy contained within the inner core is enormous. Yu Qilong was a silver core warrior. The silver core in his body was silver in color. This was very obvious. If he broke through to the golden core realm, the true yuan he released would be golden in color. Zi Qinya was a golden core warrior. Compared to the silver core realm, not only was the quality of his true yuan stronger, his inner core was also stronger. However, until now, the inner core still couldn't leave its original position. Until the next stage, the mortal core realm. At this stage, the inner core could leave the body under the control of true yuan and soul force. Then it could attack. This was the last resort of any divine core warrior. It was extremely powerful. Above the mortal core realm was the earth core realm. At this stage, a warrior could gather the energy of the earth and merge his inner core with the surrounding environment. Even if the inner core left the body, it could still survive for a long time. Above the earth core realm was the heavenly core realm. A warrior could gather the energy of the heavens and earth, and he could use his inner core to transform all natural energy into his own cultivation. Above the heavenly core realm was the 9th level of the divine core realm, and it was called the extreme core realm. The inner core has reached the strongest level, and it can be called a divine core. Let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. The Wang Quan you met before, who was a peak divine core warrior, the extreme core realm. Hearing this, Ling Xiao was shocked. Chapter 3630. Wang Quanzheng was the person who had taken you Feng Hua away. Ling Xiao had even killed Wang Chuanjing's son. The enmity between them wasn't small. After a moment of surprise, Ling Xiao regained his composure. He finally had a goal for the extreme core realm. Otherwise, he would be muddle-headed and wouldn't know how strong his enemies were. That would be depressing. Something has appeared. The Yuan Venerate suddenly disappeared. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, looked into the distance. A black figure was crawling out of the blood river. It was actually a huge crocodile. Furthermore, this crocodile actually had 2 heads. Half of its body was still in the blood river, but the rest of its body was over 10 meters long. It was estimated to be about 20 meters long. Ling Xiao had never seen such a crocodile before. 2-headed hell crocodile. The Taiji, I told him the identity of this crocodile. 2 pairs of blood-red eyes stared at Ling Xiao. Evidently, it had treated Ling Xiao as its prey. Those huge fangs made one's heart palpitate. The speed of crocodiles was very fast. Although its legs were short, its speed wasn't slow. The 2-headed hell crocodile was even faster. A moment ago, Ling Xiao had still seen half of its body in the water. However, it had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao in the next moment. It opened its bloody mouth and wanted to swallow Ling Xiao whole. The 2-headed hell crocodile didn't care about Ling Xiao at all. After all, it had already seen many people stronger than Ling Xiao. It had also killed many of them. The auras of those people were even stronger than Ling Xiao's. However, although these people were weak, their meat was very delicious. After eating them, the crocodile could even feel its own strength increasing. Therefore, even if it didn't harbor any hatred, it would still eat to fill its stomach. It wouldn't let the martial list before it go. Ling Xiao's Taiji, I was also searching for information on the 2-headed hell crocodile. A 1-star Divine Meridian Level 8 Hell demonic beast. It was even more savage and violent than ordinary demonic beasts. Given his strength, he should be able to deal with it by using the unbounded heavenly rat transformation. 4 Ling Xiao. Hell demonic beasts at the 8th and 9th level of the Divine Meridian level were the key to increasing his strength. These demonic beasts could be hunted with Emperor-grade martial techniques. Furthermore, they could pose a threat to him and unleash the potential in his body to a greater extent. Of course, it would be troublesome to deal with a 9th stage Divine Vein Realm demonic beast. If they wanted to kill him, they would have to do what they did to Qing Qian, using Shadow Dancer and Hell Shadow Strike to launch a sneak attack. If he couldn't succeed, he could only run for his life. However, it wasn't that troublesome to deal with a demonic beast in the 8th layer of the Divine Vein Realm. The double-headed hell crocodile's mouth released a bloody smell. There were even bits of meat and some pieces of clothing in between its teeth. It was probably purple spirit armor. The warrior that it had killed was probably a member of the Purple Mansion Army, and he had died not too long ago. It's either you die or I live. Wait for me. I will definitely reach the peak of the 4 great regions as soon as possible. It won't take me 30 years. Ling Xiao sneered. He instantly transformed into the Yin-Yang Universal Tiger transformation. The black and white armor made him look even more ferocious and terrifying. The 2-headed hell crocodile paused for a moment. 7 swords as one. Kill. Ling Xiao raised his hands. The 7 swords formed 7 different colored sword lights around his body. Then they merged into one and blasted out. The 9 sovereign sword art could be put to good use now. Therefore, Ling Xiao couldn't give up. He even thought about it. When he could combine 10 swords as one, would the power of this martial technique increase again? As for those 10 swords, would they improve as well? He was really looking forward to it. He didn't plan to use the rage of the Black Soul in a hurry. It was more useful to use such a powerful move to deal with difficult enemies. It was obvious that an Emperor-grade martial technique was more suitable to deal with the two-headed hell crocodile. It could also help him increase his cultivation. As for the consumption of potential, he wasn't worried at all. There were so many demonic beasts in this bloody battlefield. Killing one would be enough to eat a demonic beast core. The energy couldn't be absorbed all at once. Close to 90% of it would be stored in the potential cells. Therefore, his potential was almost inexhaustible in this place. To him, this bloody battlefield was simply a cultivation paradise. Boom! The terrifying attack exploded in the bloody battlefield. Ling Xiao's 7 swords as one collided with the two-headed hell crocodile's huge head. After a moment of stalemate, the two-headed hell crocodile was sent flying. Its huge body almost fell flat on its back. But Ling Xiao didn't have it easy either. Although this terrifying guy was an expert of the same level as Tang Chunwan, his combat power was actually much stronger than Tang Chunwan. The rebounding force pushed him back dozens of steps, and he almost fell to the ground. Good. Interesting. In that case, I don't need to hold back. Kill. Ling Xiao took out Ice Age and transformed it into the black and white swords. He released the 30% innate God Fiend sword soul. Like a God Fiend, he charged over. The two-headed hell crocodile wasn't very intelligent. The demonic beasts in the bloody battlefield generally weren't very intelligent. Perhaps it was because of the smell of blood. They were more bloodthirsty than ordinary demonic beasts, but they were also more stupid. After being sent flying by Ling Xiao, not only did it not have the slightest fear, but it also became furious. Dragging its huge body, it charged toward Ling Xiao again. 9 transformation God Fiend technique. God Fiend descends. Ling Xiao's figure suddenly flashed as he activated the body of cosmic light. His speed was as fast as light. The two-headed hell crocodile's attack missed. Ling Xiao's attack had already appeared above its head. The terrifying black and white swords stabbed toward the huge head. Roar! The two-headed hell crocodile roared in pain. Flesh and blood splattered from the head that was hit. Although it wasn't completely crippled, it was already seriously injured. The pain stimulated the two-headed hell crocodile's ferocity. Blood splattered everywhere. The two-headed hell crocodile attacked again. It swung its huge tail at Ling Xiao, wanting to smash the little guy that it hated to death. The most terrifying thing about demonic beasts was their physical bodies. The reason why demonic beasts were stronger than human martial artists of the same level was because their physical bodies were stronger than human martial artists. But there were exceptions. For example, a monster like Ling Xiao. His physical body had been tempered countless times and had long become extremely tough. He had been persistently cultivating his mystic world body and had become even stronger after controlling the Western region. Also, the Peak King stage black tortoise divine body could completely block the two-headed hell crocodile's attack and wouldn't be seriously injured. If he added the defensive purple soul divine shield and the transformation divine weapon, the damage that the two-headed hell crocodile could cause to Ling Xiao was limited. It was even possible that he could completely block it. Chapter 36:31. Seeing the tail coming, Ling Xiao sneered. He didn't dodge at all. He reached out his hand and grabbed the thick scales on the tail. Then he lifted the two-headed hell crocodile up. The terrifying power shook the body of the two-headed hell crocodile and made it hit the ground crazily. Once, twice, thrice, the two-headed hell crocodile screamed. In the end, it broke its tail and fled into the blood river. Damn it, it's not a gecko. Ling Xiao was dumbfounded. But at this time, how could he let this guy escape? The reason he killed the two-headed hell crocodile was to get the monster core and use the emperor-level martial technique. Seeing the two-headed hell crocodile running away quickly, he waved his hand and the 7 swords rose into the air. The cooldown of the 7 swords that he used before was over. It turned into a 7-colored sword light and pierced through the other head of the two-headed hell crocodile. Ling Xiao took the opportunity and shook his body. In the end, he used Ice Age to kill the two-headed hell crocodile. Ling Xiao took out the monster core from the two-headed hell crocodile and cleaned it. Then he swallowed it, except for a part of the energy that merged into his sea of energy. Most of the energy merged into his potential cells. It turned into his potential. At the same time, a red ball of energy flew out from the body of the two-headed hell crocodile. It flew into the waist tag of the Purple Mansion soldier. This should be what the Purple Mansion soldier needed. It should be the blood essence of the two-headed hell crocodile. He didn't know what the Purple Mansion soldier needed it for, but it could be counted as a military merit. The Purple Mansion soldier called it the Blood Soul Stone. But Ling Xiao was sure that it had nothing to do with the soul. This is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only can I increase my cultivation, but I can also earn military merit. After I have enough military merit, I can be promoted. Ling Xiao smiled. Men always had the thought of being crowned kings and ministers. As long as they had enough military merit and strength, they could be promoted. He also wanted to be a general like Yu Qilong, who had millions of Purple Mansion soldiers under his command. How cool would that be? And it would be of great help to him in the future when he ruled the 4 major zones. As a human, there was always something to pursue. Suddenly, Ling Xiao cast his gaze towards the river of blood. He sneered and said, "You've seen enough. What's wrong? Do you want me to invite you out?" In fact, he had already noticed it when the battle with the two-headed hell crocodile began. Someone was hiding in the blood river. He didn't know exactly who it was, but it should be a human martial artist and most likely a Purple Mansion realm soldier like him. He was someone with the Taiji eye. Even if someone was hiding underground, it would be impossible to escape his eyes, let alone hiding in the blood river. "You're not coming out." Ling Xiao sneered and suddenly blasted out a palm. The force caused the water of the blood river to surge, revealing a martial artist who was hiding there. The cultivator was not young and was estimated to be in his 50s at the first transition. Of course, this age wasn't considered old for a divine vein realm martial artist. After all, once one's cultivation reached the first transition, they would be able to live for at least 200 years. "I didn't expect you to discover me. I thought you were just tricking me. How embarrassing." That person laughed awkwardly and walked out of the river. He was wearing a purple spirit armor and was obviously a centurion. He was much better than Ling Xiao's. "However, we are all from the Purple Mansion realm. It doesn't seem right for you to attack so casually." That person frowned and said, "Do you think I'm easy to fool because I'm a newbie? The moment I stepped into the bloody battlefield, we are no longer comrades, but enemies. You'd better stand there and not move. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Ling Xiao said coldly. This person had been secretly spying on the direction of the refuge. Ling Xiao suspected that it was very likely that he was specifically targeting newbies. After all, warriors who had just entered the bloody battlefield were generally weaker in strength. It wasn't impossible for them to be caught and killed. "Haha, aren't you a little too nervous? I'm a centurion of the Snow Wolf Battalion. What about you? Judging from your strength, you shouldn't be weak. But why are you still wearing the armor of an ordinary soldier?" He shouldn't be able to see Ling Xiao's true cultivation. He could only judge from Ling Xiao's battle that Ling Xiao's combat strength was equivalent to an 8th-level Divine Vein Realm martial artist, on par with him. Therefore, he was more polite when he spoke now. He didn't show any strong hostility. However, Ling Xiao didn't have a good impression of such people. He trusted his intuition and his judgment. "It doesn't matter who I am. You don't need to know. Let's mind our own business. You go your way and I'll go mine. We can live in peace." Ling Xiao said indifferently when he saw that the other party had stopped. He was more cautious when it came to killing. He had to have a reason to kill. Otherwise, he wouldn't kill indiscriminately. After all, humans were different from demonic beasts. This centurion seemed to be stronger than the two-headed hell crocodile. He was much stronger than Tangchu Nunnery. Although he wasn't at Chang Qian's level, he shouldn't be far from breaking through to the 9th level of the divine vein realm. Hee, it seems like you are afraid of me. That centurion suddenly sneered. If you are stronger than me, you should make a move on me and not hope to live in peace. This is a bloody battlefield. Everyone is an enemy. To the martial artists here, demonic beasts might be good, but they want to seize treasures. Killing and plundering is the best method. That centurion finally revealed a malevolent expression. He had been testing Ling Xiao to see Ling Xiao's attitude. If Ling Xiao tried to attack him, it meant that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. If he tried to avoid him, it meant that he was afraid of him. Of course, this was the most basic way to distinguish. It was a pity that it didn't work on Ling Xiao. You have given me a reason to kill you. Ling Xiao smiled sarcastically. At this moment, he had yet to withdraw his beast soul transformation. He also had Ice Age in his hand. The battle could be carried out at any time. He wasn't afraid of the other party. Kill me? Do you know that I am the strongest centurion of the Snow Wolf Battalion? Do you think you can kill me? That centurion sneered. Unfortunately, not only have I killed a centurion, but I have also killed a chiliarch. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a cruel sneer. He could now judge that this person didn't see the battle between him, Cheng Qian and Tang Yi. If he had seen it, he wouldn't have come looking for trouble. But this was also good. It would save him trouble. When he was dealing with Tang Yi, he had used almost all his trump cards. It wouldn't be good if he was exposed. Ha 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 ha, I have also killed a captain. Lieutenant General Yu Qilong was no match for me. Who doesn't know how to brag? I am much better at it than you. That centurion laughed maniacally. He treated Ling Xiao's words as a joke. He felt that Ling Xiao was just joking. Chapter 30, 632. Idiot. Ling Xiao shook his head. He was telling the truth, but the centurion thought he was bragging. Kid, it's useless to say anything. After I kill you, I can get the blood soul stone that you have. Also, your weapon seems pretty good. It's a divine emperor weapon, right? It's really tempting. The centurion raised his hand, and a long sword covered in flames appeared in his hand. The flames roared like a demonic beast. If Ling Xiao didn't have the Ice Age, it would be troublesome. Immortal Emperor weapon. Ling Xiao could confirm that the weapon in the centurion's hand was an immortal Emperor weapon. It should be the best weapon for a divine vein realm martial artist. It was no wonder that as long as he took out the Ice Age, a divine Emperor weapon, it would attract covetous eyes. In order to keep a low profile in the future, he would gladly accept the sword in the centurion's hand. Black Flame, demonic sword. This is something I got from a newcomer. Today, I'll let you have a taste of its power. The centurion decided to kill Ling Xiao and didn't stay any longer. The long sword in his hand shook, and his body trembled. He instantly charged towards Ling Xiao. The black flame seemed to have absorbed the baleful aura in the air and became abnormally ferocious. It seemed to want to turn Ling Xiao into ashes. Ding! The two swords clashed, producing the sound of metal clashing. The black flames were actually frozen in an instant. The centurion's face revealed a look of surprise. It's indeed a divine emperor weapon. Not bad, not bad. With the power of a divine emperor weapon, it's not surprising that you could kill the two-headed hell crocodile. Good stuff, really good stuff. I, Qinming, am really lucky today. As he was too excited, he even said his name. Chen Ming. When Ling Xiao heard this name, he was stunned for a moment. Before entering this place, a chiliarch had told him in private, if you meet Qinming, run quickly. This Chen Ming was a typical newcomer assassin. This guy specifically targeted newcomers. It was unknown how many newcomers had been killed by him. Scared. Chun Ming sneered, but his attack didn't stop. The black flame demonic sword once again charged towards Ling Xiao. Scared? Ling Xiao shook his head helplessly. This guy was really confident. To deal with you, using Ice Age is just bullying you. Ling Xiao smiled. He decided to stop using Ice Age and fight with his bare hands. His physical body also needed to be tempered continuously in order to advance. With the constant emergence of Emperor-level martial skills, the Peak King-level Black Tortoise Divine Body was gradually unable to keep up with the times. Therefore, he had to continue improving. Relying on battles to increase one's strength was also a method. The so-called constitution was actually to temper oneself like a piece of magical equipment, and the way to temper oneself was through battle. The more battles he fought, the stronger his constitution would be. Bare hands. Seeing Ling Xiao put away the Ice Age, Chen Ming's face suddenly turned gloomy. He felt that he had been underestimated by the other party. In this kid's eyes, he was inferior to the two-headed hell crocodile. In his madness, he began to launch a series of attacks. Meanwhile, Ling Xiao's palms continued to block the attacks. If he really couldn't block, he would use the cosmic body and blizzard ice ceiling steps to dodge. At that moment, he disappeared in front of Chen Ming like a ray of white light. With this level of speed, let alone Chen Ming, who was at the peak of the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Even Chen Qian, who was at the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, couldn't keep up. Otherwise, Chen Qian wouldn't have died so miserably. Abnormal speed and abnormal defense, coupled with a rank 1 Emperor-level martial skill. Chen Ming gradually began to frown. In the beginning, he could still suppress Ling Xiao. It was just that it was difficult to attack. However, as time passed, his true essence was consumed more and more. On the other hand, Ling Xiao could rely on his potential to recover continuously. For others, consuming too much true essence was definitely a bad thing. However, for Ling Xiao, the more true essence he consumed, the happier he was. This meant that the energy in his cultivation C would increase faster. Previously, when he killed the two-headed hell crocodile, the energy in his cultivation C had increased by 20%. With the breakthrough in his cultivation, the energy in his cultivation C increased at a slower speed than before. However, compared to others, it was still shockingly fast. The more Chen Ming fought, the more fearful he became. He attacked repeatedly and even used an Emperor-level martial skill, but he only managed to injure his opponent slightly. Moreover, that was because his opponent deliberately received his attack. This kid was just toying with him. He didn't have any intention to fight seriously. What's going on? When he killed the two-headed hell crocodile, the combat strength he displayed was only at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. No matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than me, who is at the peak of the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. I have been here for dozens of years. From a new recruit to a new recruit killer. I have never met such a freak. Chen Ming already had the idea of retreating. This person was actually very timid. From the fact that he only targeted new recruits, it could be seen that he wouldn't provoke opponents that he couldn't defeat. He would only pick on soft persimmons. When he realized that Ling Xiao wasn't a soft persimmon, he naturally wanted to retreat. No, I have to defeat him first, and then escape. Chen Ming thought for a while and decided to use his biggest trump card. Of course, he also knew the 9-fold demonic slash. However, he knew more than one Emperor-level martial skill. After dozens of years of killing in the bloody battlefield, he knew more than 4 Emperor-level martial skills. Unfortunately, they were all Emperor-level martial skills. However, in terms of power, there was still a difference. One of them, together with the Black Flame Demonic Sword and the Black Flame Martial Soul, was more powerful than the others. Black Flame Demonic Slash. The Black Flame Martial Soul and the Black Flame Demonic Sword seemed to merge into one. The violent first-level Emperor class martial skill turned into a black flaming sword chi, which almost sealed off all of Ling Xiao's escape routes. This attack was Chen Ming's most perfect and most powerful attack. He absolutely couldn't allow Ling Xiao to escape. After using this attack, Chen Ming didn't hurry to escape, because at this moment he had a fluke mentality. Perhaps his most powerful attack could directly kill Ling Xiao. Even if it couldn't kill him, it could at least severely injure him. It was really stupid of him to escape like this. It was this foolish decision of his that led to his tragedy. In the face of Chen Ming's powerful attack, Ling Xiao finally took out the Ice Age again and turned it into the black and white swords. Then, he directly used the second move of the 9 transformation technique of Celestial Demon. First appearance of Divine Light, Demonic Shadow Attack. The black and white swords release black and white sword light respectively. Then, the shadow of the Celestial Demon appeared. It merged with the terrifying black and white sword light and attacked Chen Ming. The black and white sword light collided with the black flame, demonic slash in the void, and then shattered. This time, the attacks of the two were actually evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. This time, Chen Ming was really scared. His most powerful attack couldn't do anything to Ling Xiao. He was definitely an iron plate. Even if he could win in the end, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. A Pyrrhic victory in the bloody battlefield was too dangerous. Chapter 30, 633. In a bloody battlefield, if one could not completely defeat the opponent, it would be no different from a failure. That's because the hellish, demonic beasts that have been lurking around you will tear you apart if you're heavily injured. Stop! Chen Ming suddenly shouted. Stop! Ling Xiao smiled. Do you think I will stop just because you asked me to? You were the one who wanted to kill me just now. Brother, I was blind and didn't realize how strong you are. That's why I rashly attacked. With your strength, you can even be a centurion. But your waist tag is actually just an ordinary soldier's waist tag, which directly scared me. Chen Ming retreated and said, I admit that I was wrong. I will get lost, and I will never attack you again. Some of his words were not wrong. Ling Xiao definitely had the strength of a centurion now. After all, he had already killed a sergeant and a centurion. He even killed a chiliarch. Of course, before killing a chiliarch, that was a sneak attack. It could not be considered his real strength. Although he had such a battle record, Ling Xiao did not have a spirit chi sergeant or centurion waist tag and purple spirit armor. Right now, he was only an ordinary soldier in name. What's the use of saying so much nonsense? How can there be such a good thing in this world? You think you are stronger than me, so you want to kill me. Now that you think you can't beat me, you don't want to continue. Who am I that you can kill if you want to, and not kill if you don't want to? Ling Xiao said coldly. Kid, although I can't kill you, you can't kill me either. If we continue to fight like this, we will be exhausted sooner or later. In the end, we will only become a delicacy in the stomach of the beasts. It's not good for either of us. So, your best choice now is to let me go. Chen Ming said. What if I don't want to? Ling Xiao sneered. Damn it, you are really a stubborn guy. Since that's the case, let's just fight. I don't believe that I, a centurion, can't have more vital essence than you. Chen Ming wanted to stop, but Ling Xiao did not agree. Helpless, he could only continue to attack. The two of them fought for another half an hour. Chen Ming's moves were already a little messy. Even if he was at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm, he wouldn't be able to endure the continuous usage of Emperor-class martial techniques. Only a Divine Core warrior would be able to unleash an Emperor-level martial skill without any worries. Actually, breaking from the Divine Vein Realm to the Divine Core realm was just a huge leap. However, the increase in true essence was an earth-shattering change. It was a qualitative leap. Stop! Stop! I'll give you all the demonic beast cores I have on me. Look at how you swallowed the cores just now. This should be useful to you. I have over 10,000 demonic beast cores on me. Chen Ming couldn't hold on any longer, especially when he discovered that Ling Xiao's Jinyuan didn't seem to have been depleted at all. He was scared out of his wits. You want to bribe me with just a few demonic beast cores? In your dreams. Ling Xiao felt that it was about time. Chen Ming's strength had clearly declined. Even if he didn't use an emperor-grade martial skill, he would still be able to kill him. It wouldn't be of much help to Jiang Chen's cultivation. Therefore, Jiang Chen was ready to end this fight. The Ice Age had returned to its original form, and Jiang Chen had begun his final harvest. What do you want me to do to make you stop? If not, I'll give you everything in my storage ring, and this black flame sword as well. Just let me live. Chen Ming kept retreating. Many wounds had appeared on his body. He knew that, if this continued, he wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. Let you live? When you tried to kill me, I warned you that I've killed 100 men, Commander, and even 1,000 men, Commander. Do you think that's a joke? Ling Xiao sneered and said, I want everything you have, but you have to die. After saying that, Jiang Chen didn't waste any more time. The Ice Age once again transformed back into the black and white swords. Jiang Chen was going to use his most powerful skill to end his opponent. This skill was the third form of the 9 revolutions, Divine Devil skill. Following the formation of the skill, the innate Divine Devil sword soul behind Jiang Chen began to shine with a terrifying light. The terrifying aura was as if a true Divine Devil had descended. After reaching the 5th tier of the Divine Vein Realm, Ling Xiao could use the third form of the 9 revolutions, Divine Devil skill. The power of the third form was 5 times stronger than the second form, and the pressure it exerted on the enemy was much stronger. At that moment, in Chen Ming's eyes, Ling Xiao seemed to have changed. It was as if he was no longer a human, but a divine devil, controlling light and darkness. A divine devil that controlled life and death. Run. Chen Ming had lost all courage to continue fighting. Jiang Chen's terrifying aura and battle intent made him tremble. He frantically turned around and fled. He was even faster than a rabbit running for its life. What's the use of running now? The speed of light will always be faster than you. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled up into a cold smile. The third form of the 9 revolutions, Divine Devil skill. Sky-splitting divine light, demon shadow soaring. At that moment, the black and white sword radiance shot out from the 2 swords and blasted Chen Ming, who was dozens of meters away. Chen Ming didn't react at all. From the beginning to the end, not even a second had passed. This speed was too fast. Chen Ming only had one thought at the moment of his death. Why? Why did I have to offend this madman? Why didn't I run away earlier? It was a pity that regret had no meaning. Chen Ming's body was pierced, and the purple spirit armor was destroyed. Only the black flame, demonic sword, and the storage ring fell to the ground. Ling Xiao scooped them up. Ice Age was too eye-catching, so he decided to use the black flame, demonic sword for the time being. An immortal grade emperor weapon was still a very good weapon for him. My cultivation sees energy increased by another 30%. Not bad, not bad. Ling Xiao was very satisfied with the outcome of this battle. He put away Ice Age and the black flame demonic sword. He began to check Chen Ming's storage ring. Just as Chen Ming said, there were close to 10,000 fiend cores in it. They were all fiend cores below the 8th layer of the Divine Vein Realm, but they were enough to transform his potential. Ling Xiao simply sat there, eating the demonic beast cores while continuing to check. Besides these cores, there were close to 50,000 high-grade spirit stones in Chen Ming's storage ring. He reckoned he got them by robbing the newcomers. He could use them to cultivate and fuse with beast souls. Chen Ming's words were right. Killing and robbing is the best way to improve oneself, but it's too despicable. Ling Xiao wouldn't kill and rob, but if someone like Chen Ming wanted to deal with him, he wouldn't hesitate. Of course, he wouldn't be polite. He wasn't some kind of virtuous person. For a martial artist, killing had long been a common thing. Besides the loot in the storage ring, the Blood Soul Stone in Chen Ming's token was also released. Chapter 30, 634. Chen Ming's waste token had released about 1,000 Blood Soul Stones. Chen Ming guessed that most of them had been used to exchange for military merits. These were the leftovers recently. However, even 1,000 blood soul stones saved Ling Xiao a lot of trouble. 1,000 divine vein realm blood soul stones meant that Chen Ming had to kill 1,000 divine vein realm demonic beasts to get them. After eating 1,000 demonic beast cores, Ling Xiao felt that his potential had been fully replenished. Therefore, he kept the rest. It would not be too late to eat them in the future. At this moment, his cultivation sea's energy had reached 50%. When he entered the bloody battlefield, his cultivation sea's energy was still 0. This showed how effective this place was for him. After all, his cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. His opponents were all at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. It was normal for him to improve quickly. Chen Ming guessed that as his cultivation increased, his speed would slow down. Let's move on. Since Ling Xiao did not know much about the bloody battlefield, he could only move on aimlessly. Anyway, there were many hell demonic beasts here. Even if he did not look for them, those demonic beasts would come looking for him. It would not delay his cultivation time. Instead, he was a little worried about Zilong. Zilong had entered the bloody battlefield only a few minutes earlier than him. However, Zilong was nowhere to be seen. Given Zilong's character, he would not leave Chen Ming alone, unless he had encountered some trouble. In the end, Chen Ming could not find the person who assassinated Zilong. It was obvious that the other party had a strong background and was not inferior to the king's residence. Ling Xiao was not a person who liked to poke his nose into other people's business. However, he knew how to repay a debt of gratitude. Zilong had helped him a lot. Of course, he could not watch Zilong get killed. It was normal for him to be worried. Let's try to find Zilong first and see if I can find him. Thinking of this, Chen Ming sped up. Along the way, he had encountered many dangers. However, to Ling Xiao, this kind of danger was an opportunity. Through constant battles, he continued to improve. The opponents he encountered were all stronger than him. From the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm to the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, he chose to avoid the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm because it was too time-consuming. Moreover, it was very likely that he would be injured. In a place like the bloody battlefield, he could not be injured. Being injured meant that one could die. But even so, after killing dozens of ferocious demonic beasts, Ling Xiao's cultivation had finally broken through to the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm. His battle prowess had also improved tremendously. With this improvement, he would be able to win against a martial artist at the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Others wouldn't even dare to think about the speed of your improvement. Yuan Venerate couldn't help but sigh. With this cultivation speed, even if you break through to the Divine Core Realm, I reckon it won't take you more than a month to break through to the next realm. TSK, don't ever tell anyone, or you'll definitely be treated as a rare animal for research. Ling Xiao also knew that his cultivation speed was somewhat crazy. In just 3 days, he advanced from the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm to the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm. This was indeed very exaggerated. However, if one's cultivation increased too quickly, it would easily cause one's foundation to be unstable. Therefore, after he broke through, he would try his best to restrain himself and first find an opponent to temper him. He would wait until his foundation was stable before upgrading. Although this would slow down his cultivation speed, Ling Xiao knew that it would be extremely beneficial for him. If he built a shoddy project just for speed, it would collapse sooner or later. But even so, with his cultivation speed, it shouldn't be a problem for him to break through to the next realm in half a month. In other words, in half a month's time, he might become a warrior at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Of course, this would require him to fight crazily. Fight with his life. Fight with his life. Fight with his life to strengthen himself. Right now, Ling Xiao only had one thought in his mind: to become stronger. Only by becoming stronger would he be able to get close to his woman. Only then would he be able to help the person he wanted to help. In front of him, a few demonic beasts from hell were eating a few corpses. The corpses had obviously died not long ago. How pitiful! But this was the bloody battlefield. The demonic beasts looked at Ling Xiao with vigilance. When they discovered that Ling Xiao wasn't hostile, they started eating again. Ling Xiao sighed. In order to pursue the path of cultivation, there were many people who risked their lives like him. But there weren't many people who were lucky enough to survive like him. The bloody battlefield really lived up to its name. It was filled with the smell of blood. A gust of wind blew, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. It made people frown involuntarily. Woo! Suddenly a wolf howl came from afar. Those small demonic beasts that were eating quickly ran away. Ling Xiao raised his eyes and looked over. On the horizon, about a dozen hell wolves rushed over. On each hell wolf's body, there was actually a martial artist riding on it. 12 hell wolves at the 7th level of the divine vein realm, 9 centurions at the 8th level of the divine vein realm, 3 Kiliarchs at the 9th level of the divine vein realm. Good heavens, this lineup is really big. Ling Xiao saw those people rushing over, but he didn't have the intention to retreat or escape. In the bloody battlefield, he couldn't wait to have more enemies, and now that he had just broken through, he needed someone to help him consolidate his foundation. If he didn't build a good foundation, his cultivation would become a shoddy project. That wouldn't be good. The team finally got closer. They directly surrounded Ling Xiao. Third Master, it's this kid. He actually snatched the demonic beasts that we were going to hunt. One of the one-eyed men said to a gray-haired old man beside him. The one-eyed man was a centurion, and the gray-haired old man was a Chiliarch. These people's bodies were emitting terrifying, killing intent. Everyone was a person who licked blood on the blade to live until now. They weren't cowards like Tangchu Nunnery. Tangchu Nunnery didn't even dare to enter the bloody battlefield. But these people had already carried out countless killings in the bloody battlefield. Each of them carried the burden of many lives. The bloody battlefield was actually a world. It was just that the rules here were more brutal and simple. In order to survive, warriors would also form groups here. By forming a powerful organization, they would become very powerful. Ling Xiao looked at the one-eyed man. He had some impression of this person. It happened a few days ago. The one-eyed man was fighting with a demonic beast and was forced to retreat. Just as he was about to die, Ling Xiao made a move. Ling Xiao killed the demonic beast and took away its crystal core and the bloody soul stone. Logically speaking, he saved this guy, but he didn't expect that this guy didn't appreciate it at all. Instead, he called so many people to hunt him down. Kid, how dare you snatch the demonic beasts of our sworn brotherhood? You're dead. The one-eyed man stared fiercely at Ling Xiao and shouted, If I had known, I would have killed you. Chapter 30, 635. Ha ha ha, kill me? Third Master, did you hear that? This guy has a bad temper. He actually wants to kill me. The one-eyed man started laughing wildly. If I hadn't fought too many battles that day and got injured, you wouldn't have been able to take away my blood soul stone and demon cores. Do you really think you're that strong? You're just an ordinary soldier. Ling Xiao laughed. Indeed, he was just an ordinary soldier. However, in terms of strength, even a Chiliarch might not be his match. Hee, this guy is really arrogant. Look at his cultivation. I think he's only at the 6th level of the divine vein realm. How dare he offend our sworn society? You have to know, in this world, unless he's a divine core warrior, anyone who dares offend our sworn society has already been sent to hell. The third master said with a sneer, Did you hear that, kid? Today there are 12 of us, 12 hell wolves. You're just one kid, even if you can fight those who are at a higher level than you. Do you really think you can overturn the heavens? Now, I'll give you a chance, kneel down and apologize, then hand over your blood soul stone. Maybe we'll be happy and spare your life. The one-eyed man said with a loud voice. No wonder this one-eyed man was so arrogant. There were 12 of them. 3 of them were at the 9th level of the divine vein realm, and 9 of them were at the 8th level. there were also 12 ferocious hell wolves, and all of them were at the 7th level of the divine vein realm. With Ling Xiao's strength, even if there were 10 of him, he still wouldn't be their match. Besides, the 12 of them had been fighting together for many years. They had formed a perfect set of teamwork skills. Ling Xiao was just a single person, and they didn't care about him at all. Even if all 12 of them combined their energies, they could still scare Ling Xiao to death. But too bad, they didn't know that Ling Xiao possessed the martial soul of tyrant. He was destined to not be afraid of anyone in this world. Even if there was a huge gap between their strengths, at least in terms of spirit, he would never admit defeat, and he would never admit defeat. The men of the Sworn Society were all waiting for Ling Xiao to hand over the blood soul stone to them. After all, they were only here for money. Killing Ling Xiao was a waste of energy, and they didn't want to do that, unless he didn't know what was good for him. However, they didn't know Ling Xiao's temper. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I'll kill them. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with these people and directly attacked. His figure turned into a streak of white light. The black flame devil sword that he had just obtained had already pierced through the throat of one of them. Then the black flames exploded. The man's mount was also burned to ashes. This scene left the remaining 11 people dumbfounded. He hurriedly prepared for battle. They really didn't expect that this daring brat would actually dare to directly make a move. Furthermore, he had killed one of their brothers as soon as he made a move, breaking the formation that they had practiced for many years. Ling Xiao lightly shook off the blood on the black flame fiend sword and said with disdain, "Now, leave that one-eyed guy behind, and the blood soul stones and other valuables on you. Then get out of here. Otherwise, all of you will die." "Brat, are you crazy? You only ambushed one of us. Do you want us to feel afraid?" The one-eyed man sneered. "One-eyed is right. The 13 of us from the Sworn Brotherhood are sworn brothers. We won't abandon each other. If you want One-Eyed's life, we will take yours. Now, you no longer have the chance to beg for mercy. If you kill our people, the only outcome for you is death." Third Master said coldly, "All right, I will stand here. Come and kill me." Ling Xiao sneered. He had already transformed into the yin-yang universal, light, tiger beast soul. In this bloody battlefield, the evolved beast soul was obviously more useful. Therefore, Ling Xiao would basically use the yin-yang universal light, tiger beast soul to fight. As for the hell shadow rabbit beast soul, he would use it to escape or launch sneak attacks. The black flame devil sword burned with black flames. There was even a white light fused into it. This was the effect of the innate god-fiend sword soul. "Brat, do you really think that we are scared? Brothers, form a battle formation and kill." Third Master was angry. No divine vein realm martial artist had ever dared to look down on them like this. How dare he ignore them like this? The 11 people attacked Ling Xiao from different angles. Ling Xiao stood there like a cold statue. It was as if all his energy had been fused into the black flame devil sword in his hand. "Kill!" A cold voice came from Ling Xiao's mouth again. The black flame devil sword emitted a terrifying sword aura. 9 transformation god fiend, art, descent of the god fiend. The terrifying sword light alternated between black and white. It turned into a ferocious sword aura and devoured another person's life. Even the Hellwolf mount was smashed into pieces at the same time. Ling Xiao's figure flashed and turned into a white light, evading the encirclement of the rest. "One-eyed, this is different from what you said. This brat is much stronger than what you said. Have you ever seen a 6th level divine vein realm martial artist kill an 8th level divine vein realm martial artist in a second?" Third Master furrowed his brows. They had already lost 2 of their brothers in a short period of time. It had been more than 10 years, and their sworn brotherhood had never lost a single brother. "Third Master, now is not the time to talk about this. No matter how strong this brat is, can't we kill him together?" One-Eyed knew that he had miscalculated, but how could he admit his mistake now? That's true. Brothers, don't split up. Attack together. Third master shouted. The remaining 10 people released 10 different attacks at the same time. They were all first-level Emperor class martial skills, and they were all 9-layered demonic slash. It seemed that they had only learned the Emperor class martial skills that were unique to the Purple Mansion army. They hadn't learned anything else yet. Facing the pincer attack of the 10 people, Ling Xiao sneered and used the body of cosmic light. His figure was like a ray of light. Poor thing. I'm afraid you have never seen the speed of light in your entire life. Ling Xiao's body wasn't strong enough to achieve the speed of light, but his speed was definitely faster than all the Divine Vein Realm martial artists. First appearance of Divine Light, Demonic Shadow Attack. The Black Flame Devil Sword released 2 sword auras. The black sword aura was hidden under the white sword aura. If one didn't pay attention, they wouldn't be able to detect it. Chi. Almost at the same time, 2 people's throats were pierced, and they died on the spot. Their mounts, the Infernal Wolves, fled in panic. Ling Xiao didn't chase after them. His target was only these 12 martial artists. As for the Infernal Wolves, he didn't have much interest in killing them. Damn it, One-Eyed, you bastard. You have gotten us all into trouble. This guy is too strong. We can't deal with him. Boss has to do it personally. Third master roared. He looked at Ling Xiao and said, Hero, we were blind. We are willing to leave One-Eyed, our blood soul stone, and our storage rings behind. We only ask that you let us go. Let you go? Ling Xiao sneered and said, I thought you were brothers. Didn't you say you were sworn brothers? Why are you betraying your brothers now?